Warning: all stories could be completely made up, and we have no way to confirm that. Any and all names mentioned in the show are most likely fake. We at Campfire Moto Stories are not journalists and should not be considered as much. If you're offended by anything said or shown in this episode, we don't care, but we encourage you to voice your opinion so we can laugh at the fact that you can't control your emotions. This program contains full language, and I recommend no one to watch or listen to this.
The views and opinions expressed in the program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the sponsor, any advertisers, or the sponsor's affiliates, employees, or partners.
Coming to you live from the Claremont Lounge in Atlanta, Georgia, it's Campfire Moto Stories.
Hey everyone, welcome to Campfire Moto Stories. I'm Anthony Bennett, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today for our live show. This YouTube show / podcast is all about sharing amazing motorcycle stories from everyday riders like you. Whether it's an epic ride, a funny mishap, or an unforgettable adventure, we want to hear it all. Today, we have some fantastic guests in the studio who we'll introduce in just a moment, where we'll dive into their riding stories. Plus, we have exciting segments lined up, including pre-recorded interviews, tech tips, spotlight a stolen bike, and stories sent in by you through the website and or phone line. I'll have the phone lines on, so make sure to call in anytime, especially if it has something funny to do with our guests. Lastly, you'll get to hear an awesome story from my 5-year-old son about riding. May or may not be completely made up. But hey, 5-year-old can tell a great story, so can you. Don't forget, you can earn entries into our giveaway by participating in the show. Check out CampfireMotostories.com for all the official rules. And by participating in any way, shape, or form, you indicate that you've read the official rules and agree to our terms and conditions. Let's get it started.
They had a meeting.
Another life around the wall, another request, another call. All I hear is need, I can't reply to all. I feel the strain, I fall behind, I sacrifice my precious time. All I ever get is never really mine. Money versus true love.
Hey, welcome to Campfire Moto Stories. I'm your host, Anthony Bennett, and I've got two awesome old school moto guys-ish, airplane now guy, business guy in studio with me. So welcome Frank Mann and Jason Assad.
Glad to be here.
Guys. What's
Nice to be here.
happening? Yeah, so I thought this was going to go on for like another 30 minutes. I thought we had a little bit of a rain delay here, but yeah, I texted them like, hey, let me know when you leave Frank's house. We're 5 minutes out from your house. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like,
Yeah, we forgot about that.
That's because Frank goes to bed at 9:30, like he said. So you
Yeah,
gotta
so he was
knock
like,
this
hey,
out.
get here right now.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
he was. Well, you live over in South Carolina, basically, and also known
Right.
as Milton. So
I gain an hour though, so it's okay.
dude, I was messing with some of my buddies going to Elevation this weekend, and I was like, yeah, so we're going to lose an hour, so I guess I'll get there at like 11 o'clock, and they're like, lose an hour? What the fuck are you
no,
talking
it's straight
about?
up north.
Yeah, I know. I was just fucking with them. Being a
Did
smash
y'all
fuck.
go?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went Saturday. That fun little track, and I figured that was your people up there. You been up there yet? They've got bush planes and helicopters and all kinds of
I've
stuff.
flown hundreds of hours out of there.
Oh, no shit. Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of video online of me landing at the track when they were building it, and I kept a camper up there for a long time. So right down below the runway that's below the
Yeah,
track, that's family land, and then that's the Hiawassee River. And so the north end of the runway there is the Hiawassee River. So that's your north end threshold. And then right down to the left, Vic, who is Billy Payne, who owns Elevation, that's his brother.
Yeah.
And I think he's got 5 hookups down there. And so I bought a
Yeah, I saw a few.
31-foot camper, and I kept it up there for, gosh, a couple of years. I just moved it home last fall and bought that small camper that I have now. But I left it up there, and I just fly up there and on a Friday afternoon and stay the weekend and fish, and
Yeah.
it was great.
That was my first time going up there. The other time they were having a practice is either right after I broke my arm or something else.
The one that I,
Oh, yeah. There's a
speaking
good
of
story
which,
to start off with.
What?
Dr. Mann repaired.
This is another one that you misdiagnosed.
No.
No, I think
Oh, you got this one right.
well, there wasn't any diagnosing, but I was actually good on the repair.
Yeah.
It was probably just a bone bruise anyways, right?
No, it was broke. And I
Contusion?
literally,
I may
Contusion,
have called
maybe?
it a sprain.
no.
Contusion? No.
I walked up to him and I was like, Frank, do you have a towel or something? I broke my wrist. And he's like, yeah. He gave me an FXR towel. We taped it up. Good
Some
to go.
gaffer's tape that I got from Terry Hunter. Shout out to Terry. Still loving my helmet.
This is probably as good a time as any to mention your misdiagnosis of my arm thing, huh?
Yeah, let's get into that then. Usually I start off with my icebreaker, but let's go into the misdiagnosis
Yeah,
here.
we're going to get there anyways. We
Oh,
might as well bite the
God.
bullet. Do we want to bite the bullet now?
Yeah, let's get into that. We're here for motorcycle stories.
It's not
okay?
the only misdiagnosis. So hopefully, Matt or Jason Adams or any of those guys are watching too, because they've all been a part of it.
We'll just dive right into it. So this is like midlife crisis, at least number 12.
There's
So
been a
I feel
few.
like Frank's on midlife crisis 42
Let me-
or 75 by now. so,
Maybe.
but,
the,
all
the,
right.
the problem is Frank's an instigator. He's like, you could totally do this, dude. You can send it. You still got it. And in my head, I'm like, at the time, I'm like a 42-year-old fat old guy, you know? And I'm on his 4-stroke. I'd never even ridden a 4-stroke. Where were we at
Highland.
Highlands. And Matt Shue, he built this frickin' double. They named it Asadzilla.
He did.
Yeah.
It. I forgot about that.
That was after.
It was a step up.
After I earned that name, yeah. But he'd made this huge uphill double, and of course Matt did it like once or twice, and I hadn't ridden 20 years, probably 100 pounds overweight, on his frickin' 450, which I'd never ridden a 450, and it was set up for a guy that was probably 175 soaking wet. So I, for some reason, man, I don't know what it was. You always say I have this look of a kamikaze in my eyes.
Yeah, so I mean, I was out there riding around on my 2-stroke or no, I was on the 450.
Yeah.
I was on the 450 and he was in my van, and yeah, I came off and I'm gonna switch over and jumping on the 2-stroke, and he just had this look like he somebody had just hurt his dog. He was after it.
Like
And
one more lap or something.
yeah, like
one or
dude,
two
he
more
just looked
laps.
at me and he goes, "I want to go." And I'm like, "All right, man." You know, I'm like, here I'm giving this guy legend of Loretta's. I mean, the guy could ride, but it's been
Been a
many,
minute.
many moons. Many moons have
Yeah.
passed over the mountains.
Whole another lifetime ago.
A whole nother lifetime. But and a lot of blonde tips since then that are no longer around. But dude, he gets on this. He gets on the.
I can kind of see him poking through a little bit, maybe.
That's not blonde. Those
No?
aren't tips. That's
Is that gray?
that's
Yeah,
great.
It's follically challenged is what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
So I jump on the bike and I just take off. And then the next thing I know, I come around and I come up that step up double, and it looks like a Highway 41 yard sale in Gordon County. I mean, there's shit everywhere. You ain't never seen anything. I mean, I got a 450 over here. I got a guy over here. His pants are down by his ankles. He hit so hard his pants came off.
Well, in my defense, the pants were big to begin with. So listen, hold on. I figure if you're going to show your ass, you show it literally and figuratively, which I did, which it says a lot about Frank that he came over with
Did he
my full
grab it?
glory, that he came over and pulled my pants up. Because I couldn't, because my
It was
arm was
embarrassing.
freaking trashed. My arm was, I couldn't move anything. But he pulled my pants up, which we've been
Did he
close.
tuck it back in for you?
We've
too,
been
as
close
he's
ever
pulled-
since then. Things, I mean, and the cool thing about it is he did not have a GoPro, because God knows we would have won that America's Funniest Video. It
No,
would still be,
There's no
still be
question
viral.
about it.
But
Trust me, it would be playing right now. If
It
they,
would absolutely be playing right now.
So he's talking about the crack. Let me just say, nothing more dangerous than a 42-year-old guy who once was really good on a dirt bike, who in his mind, he's still 18. His body coordination,
not
80.
so maybe 80. Yeah, thinking about 85. But
yeah, you're being generous here.
I just thought, I don't know, man. When I came up to that thing, I'm like, this will be a cool story at the golf course, Like we can
Which
talk about
is
how
where we
Jason
met.
just so Jason had, guy's crazy. He jumped this huge thing, and I was excited until I got up to it. I seat bounced. Of course, thing was set up so poorly for me. But I got about, I was back in my teen years for like a second and a half. And then it hit me like what I'd done. It's like, I can't take this, unfire this bullet. I'm in trouble, So I'm like looking at it. I'm like, I probably made it, what, about 60% of the way?
If it was 90 or 100 feet, you definitely went 60 or 70.
Which is pretty good for an old fat
Pretty
guy.
good.
But I
Hey, 60% of that time, it works every time.
in,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
exactly
in my defense, I thought for sure a fat guy would bounce.
No.
I thought a fat guy would bounce. Turns out you hit with a lot more velocity.
More
the
of a
impact
splat.
greater.
More of a splat.
I didn't bounce worth a darn. I mean, I hit the ground so damn hard that I just freaking. I mean, it was.
Well, so the beauty of it is so we gather him up and get him back to the van, and I'm not done riding. So I decided I'm gonna. Are you good? Yeah, I'm good. And of course, you can't. He's just over here. So I'm like, I mean, you're being a wuss. Come on, man. You bruised your shoulder.
You splatted
We're
your mom.
fine.
It's just a contusion.
Yeah,
is what
there's
Dr.
no
Frank
blood.
said.
There's
Just a
no. I mean, there's
contusion.
no really any. There's no abrasions at this point right now. I'm thinking, it's been a while since he's hit the ground. It'll be all right. So I go out and I'm still riding motos. Well, finally, what, an hour or two later? Finally, I think
Seemed
he's
like
got this
it
kind
seemed
of.
like
He's
6
finally
months
ready.
to
Yeah,
me,
probably. But he's finally ready to go. So we get in my van, leave from Cedartown, drive all the way over to East Cobb, where I load him up in his Denali, and he's got to drive back over there to Milton where he lives. And I'm like, "You all right, dude?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "You'll be okay. It's probably a bruise. Go put some ice on it."
Hold on a second. You're showing your age, okay? You're having a senior moment because the way it worked, number one, it was an Escalade. It wasn't a Denali. It was an
Sorry.
Escalade. Number two, details. Number two,
Minor detail.
you're like, little Bunny, aka Val, wants to go to dinner. So can you just drive yourself home? You're like, you had other things to do. And I'm like, well, Frank,
I
I'm
forgot
pretty
about
sure
that part, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I broke my arm, Frank. And you're like,
Nah.
no, you didn't. Quit being such a baby and a little bitch and just get in your comfy little Escalade and drive your ass home.
I forgot about that
So
part.
it wasn't optionality. I said, take me to the goddamn hospital. But you had a dinner date and you just had other things going on. So so I broke an arm and everything. I get my Escalade, I drive home. I call my wife halfway. I call
At
actually
this
her
point,
mom.
we don't know it's broken. He thinks it's broken. I'm sure it's bone bruise.
It's,
Samsonite.
I mean, I'm feeling it. You could tell it was freaking broken. But nonetheless, he had like a night planted Olive Garden with
Yeah.
Val or something. And
No,
I
it's a
mean,
big
in
night.
precedent over his
in
buddy
his
who's
defense-
dying a slow, painful
In
death.
his defense, she's way
you know,
better looking than you are.
Well, no, listen, a freaking turd is better looking than me. Okay, so anyways, I drive myself home, and the only thing is, I get I guess that makes me tough or stupid.
No, you're pretty tough.
So yeah, I went to the hospital, and it turns out actually we called Dr. Rosenstein, who's one of our golfing buddies.
Yeah.
And I said, I think I broke my arm. Frank chimes in again. I think it's just a bone bruise. But anyways, I sent him the X-ray from the emergency room. He said, yeah, you shattered your humerus. You broke it off like an ice cream cone, like the ball right in the thing. And so
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a bone bruise.
it wasn't a bone
Yeah.
bruise.
Yeah, I missed
Yeah,
that one.
humorous breaks aren't that funny.
No. So now,
Humorous.
I see what you're doing.
so now I got a bunch of screws and plates in there at the age of 43, and it still hurts to this day.
An interesting note that he mentioned Dr. Rosenstein.
Rosenstein. I've got a cell number in my
He
phone,
did-
too.
he
You
did
do.
good.
Well, we referred him to you,
Yeah.
well, and he's the one that referred us to Dr. Fogel, who now has become
Our go-to
our-
guy. I literally
everybody we
sent
know
somebody
goes
him
to
this
Fogel.
week.
Yeah. I've
sent-
created a lifelong friend with that guy.
I want to get him on the show. I told him
He would
right
be
before I
great.
started it. He released me from my knee, and I was like, "Dude, I'm starting the show. Come on." But I
remember
got
that.
a funny story to that. I want to get into a little bit later. I'm trying to get with my normal flow of the icebreaker, which, funny enough, is Jason's was the Highland Park pants mishap because I was texting Shu, and he was like, "You got to ask about the pants." mishap."
That was it.
So
who
that
who
was
who asked about
Matt
that?
Shue.
no, like I always reach out to people to get stories.
I've
and
never
get
heard of
some
Matt
stuff.
Shue. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, he's actually a sponsor on the show. So too bad.
It's one of
for
those
you.
lowbrow shows. Are there anybody tuned in? I mean, can we tell if anybody's
No,
watching?
No, there's only like 300,000.
No, Matt will probably call in with you being
I
on
told
it.
my wife I was doing it. Does she at least log on and maybe? No.
Well, nobody's commented anything in the chat so far. Which, if your wife is watching, go ahead and drop some things in the chat about something I should ask him about, maybe to embarrass him a little bit. So
We leave those.
She's married to me. She doesn't want to. Yeah.
she runs your ass. Don't act like you're.
She thinks I live in the past. She's like, great, you're going to do a show about motorcycles. She's like, you were 16 when you did that. I'm like, I peaked. It's up and downhill since then. It's like,
But it's like been a long downhill then, right?
dude, it's been a precipitous, slow grind lower, right off the cliff. Yeah.
So I had an icebreaker lined up for Frank, and then I was texting somebody, and they sent me this glorious picture that I wanted to bring up. That for Frank's icebreaker. So Frank, why don't you tell me what's going on? Oh shit! No, wait, no. Hold on, amateur
This
hour.
isn't that glamour shot portfolio he did, is it?
Frank,
What in the world?
what's going on here, buddy?
Is that when you took up macrame? What is that? No.
No,
Timmy
dude.
sent me this picture. Are you starting to recall what happened now?
I can tell you that was. I
Well,
think we
look
were.
at the smirk on your face. It's kind of like I fucked
I
up.
was either.
All right.
Was I delaminating laminates?
It looks like an old guy
What
playing.
an
Looks like an old guy
idiot.
playing
All
bingo.
right, so this
Bingo
is-
to me. I don't know.
This is what Timmy texted me. The time he ordered 1,000 tear-offs, non-refundables, and they were the wrong ones. Paper in between every single tear-off.
I think. What was I trying to do? Was I trying to make them fit?
I don't know. I was hoping you would remember the story. I just love the little shit grin going on right here.
No, that's
Like-
exactly what. That's exactly.
Like,
I
what
was
the
so
fuck am I
pissed.
And the
doing?
hair looks great.
The hair was good.
The hair looks
And you
great.
see the Golf Club of Georgia pullover?
All right,
Yeah,
so these are
yeah.
probably the EKS goggles.
Yeah, that was X brand.
And those look like
They were X brand. Oh, you know what?
those look like Oakley tear-offs.
Probably. You see the top? That's what I was doing. I was being so. I took about. I was trying to trim 1,000 tear-offs to make them fit because I was so pissed.
I didn't even know you worked on your own stuff. I thought you had people that did that.
No. I was just. I don't. I do remember this now. And in fact, that is a cutting board that my wife gave me. And I do remember this. And if you look to the right, there is one of those sticky lint removal.
Okay, I was wondering what the lint brush was there for.
Well, when because
Honestly-
there's static electricity on the tear-offs
So
and the
at
paper was
first,
sticking the head.
I thought that you were making like a llama decorative
Mm-mm.
like cutout thing or some kind of thing
No.
because it looks like a little llama. Right
Those
there,
are
little
those
eyes.
are the, yeah, it does. But that's the pile of 1,000 papers between
Yeah.
tear-offs.
He does lead the art group at the old folks home. So I mean, it's not
That's
totally out
true.
of
I'm hell with paper mache.
no.
All right, so
Timmy found that, huh?
yeah.
Man, if I had done that, I got some beauties of old Timmy.
Well, dig them up and email them to me. We'll pull them up. He's supposed to call in later, so you know that could
Oh,
be
my
a good
goodness.
surprise for him.
What a kid.
All right, so yeah, I was gonna ask like how you two first crossed paths, and you just mentioned something about the on the golf course. That's kind of interesting. Two
Yeah.
moto guys just randomly wound up on the golf course.
We did. We're members of the same club, and I found out he rode and kind of befriended each other, and
Then it turned out we went to UGA.
yeah, we both went to Georgia.
And he was fraternity brothers with some of the guys I went to school with, and I
Yep.
was fraternity brothers. Wait. We were a different fraternity.
Hmm?
We were a different fraternity. You were in a fraternity with Tim and those guys from.
Yeah, we were a bunch of pretty boys, and you guys were a bunch of meatheads. Yeah,
Sounds about right.
yeah. So we met at the golf course, and I don't know if you know this, but Frank's a phenomenal golfer.
Yeah, my wife tried to get me to
Yeah,
take
he's-
lessons with him
he's
because she's a
incredible
good golfer.
golfer.
and I was like, no, because I
Yeah.
like women and dirt bikes. You know?
He's just naturally talented at pretty much everything he does. But he's a great golfer. So yeah, we met there and started talking. We had Mike Crane in common, ironically.
Yeah.
And I bought a motorcycle from Mike Crane in 1986 CR
Why,
125
why would you buy it?
because it was
What
it was before he roached it out. I mean, it was
It had to be
almost
pre-roached.
It was a practice bike anyway.
Oh, okay.
And then it
Well,
was
I feel like
19
the practice bikes are usually the
It was 1980. I'll tell you, it was 1986 CR 125, and he went to he did the Suzuki program because they had a contingency program
Uh-huh.
in '86. So he switched to Suzuki. So we bought one of his 125s, and yeah, it was my practice bike, and so we had him in common, and Yeah, I mean, geez, Frank and I have been friends for what? At least 15 years now. 15 years or so.
About 07.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's about the time I moved to Georgia.
Yeah.
I thought you were always from here.
No, I'm from Tampa.
Really?
Yeah, you can't pick up on like the white trash Florida-ness of
you ever
me.
go to
Man,
Mons Venus?
The white trash stuff.
Yes.
You know Mons Venus?
I've got a. I can't.
I
talk
used to
about
live in
Mons
Hyde
Venus
Park.
Story that I have.
I went when I was in college once to Mons Venus with some friends.
Mhm.
That's off JFK, isn't it?
Huh?
No, it's like a paintball throw away from the stadium
Dude, I needed
on
therapy.
Dow Mabry.
I needed therapy after that. Yeah. That's an interesting place.
Did you go to 2000 Odyssey across the street with a spaceship?
No, I was too mortified after going to Mons Venus. You know?
Was there
You
king
went to a
hogs?
strip club?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I don't even know you.
It's amazing you haven't heard of it. It's pretty
No, I've heard of it. I lived down the road. I was in
Pretty
Hyde
legendary.
Park when I got out of college for
Oh, really?
3 months.
Yeah. That's all you could take.
No, I just was too broke right out of school to go. So if somebody had the money to take me, I would have gone.
Yeah. So back to this Frank friendship thing. Let me tell you something. No, I mean I really mean it. You'll meet you people like Frank in your lifetime. I mean, forget the motocross, forget the dirt bikes and stuff. Just a good person who has a ton of heart and been through a lot. And you'd never know. He's got a great attitude. He's mentored a lot of people. Timmy Bador changed his life. Literally changed Timmy's life. And he just takes people under his wing and really does some nice things, makes the world a better place. So I say that with all sincerity. I mean, I really value our friendship and our relationship. He's good people.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it's true. It's
Hey,
true.
we don't
It's
say
true.
nice things on the show.
Listen, I'm
okay?
sorry.
Like, what the
Went
fuck?
off
Like,
script.
I'm not.
Yeah.
No, it's just, it is what
we
it
don't
is.
do that here, man.
No, it is what it is. It is. You're lucky to meet good people. There's a lot of people in the motocross. I mean, grew up in Northern California, then I raced here. And I've got friends from 25 years, 30 years ago, or longer than that. And in the motocross community, they're good people, you know?
You introduced me to the Lampsons.
Yeah. No, what about Lampson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I raced Steve Lampson.
Yeah, you
I
introduced
stayed at
me
his
when-
house at
Oh, you guys
Marysville.
name dropping already?
No, but when we
No.
were, you mentioned Timmy, but when we were starting to help Timmy, you had Steve's wife reach out. They wanted to train Timmy. Remember that?
Yeah, that was that, and we introduced him to Todd Hicks from Fox and a lot of people, and we featured him at Vurb at the time, and featured you and Vurb as the brand ambassador. So yeah, it's
I forgot about the brand ambassador role.
yeah.
I actually meant to grab the Vurb hat that I got from you. I got it down in my garage right now.
I still have some of those. They're all dirty from me sweating them out, but I
Yeah,
kept them
same.
because they're cool.
Yeah, that was interesting times for sure. But you know, it was. I'm big on nostalgia, you know, and I value those things. I mean, growing up as a kid in Northern California, driving out to Sand Hill Ranch, you know, I had a core group of friends I'm still friends with to this day. And I mean, those are by far the best memories of my life. And moved to Georgia in 1984.
Don't let your wife hear that, but go on.
Yeah, yeah. I just moved to Georgia in 1984. Met King Kelly at the Mableton.
Yeah.
Good old King Kelly, and you know, I was introduced. Met some people here, and you know, it was like culture shock. Admittedly, you know, when I first came here, and I'm like these little frickin' rednecks, you know, with their, you know, I mean,
It's kind of funny to
I
hear
don't
you
to
say
name drop
that.
a little bit, but you know, you had Sean Dukes. you had-
Because Sean texted me, he looked like what we thought was the California surfer with his blonde highlights when he
Yeah.
first got here,
yeah,
way before the internet and other.
yeah. So listen, I you know,
Duke sent you that?
Sean was the fastest kid on minis back then, and you know, I went and saw him race one time, and before I was racing here, you know, when we moved here, I remember thinking I could beat that kid. He's not that fast, you know. That was about the last time I ever thought that. You know, I had more visions of Sean, his ass hanging off the back of that bike, him just, you know, I don't think I ever beat Sean. You know, he was incredibly naturally talented on a motorcycle. Him and Danny Payne, and you know, I was good friends
Is Danny local Georgia guy? Because that's a name that didn't
Who's that?
ring a bell to
Danny
me.
Payne?
Danny Payne.
Yeah.
with. Yeah, 117. He and Sean would battle, and you know, and then we moved to 125s. But yeah, those guys are fast, and obviously used to ride a lot with Keith Turpin, was a good friend, and his dad John Turpin, and great people. So I went from having this, you know, growing up in Northern California and racing all the NorCal tracks and the Golden State Series and racing. I had the cool privilege of racing Saddleback a couple times, and I raced at Carlsbad, and then I obviously moved to Georgia and had a whole different, group of friends here, and ended up being close to Keith, who was obviously the Southeast champion. Practiced with him all the time, so I've gotten to meet a huge cross section of people from different parts of the country, but all for a similar love of the sport, and to this day, still, appreciate all those people. Really, really cool to have that collective experience from both Northern California and in the South.
So what would you say is the biggest difference between the two? And well, obviously we're talking about in the 80s. So in the 80s, what was the difference between the two?
Yeah, that's a tough question, man. I don't know. I mean, I remember when we let's say that when we moved to Georgia, one of my first races here was at Ball Ground.
Mm-hmm.
And
she rode there a few weeks ago.
yeah, when we were leaving Ball Ground, maybe I ever told the story. We're leaving Ball Ground.
Noah.
Mm-hmm.
We left Ball Ground, and as you're exiting Ball Ground, the Ku Klux Klan was giving out pamphlets. So I remember thinking, that's really, really different in California. And I remember I looked at my dad and said, what the fuck, what are we doing, But, listen, I thought I was going to come to Georgia and smoke everybody. I was humbled so quick. I mean, Sean and Danny, those guys could not weigh more than 130 at the time. I mean, they were so damn fast. At Ball Ground one time, I had a DMC 80. That thing was quick.
Oh, shit.
I mean, it was quick. This thing, orange seat and everything, it was fast as all hell. But one day I even went a step further. I put a 105 on it. The 105 kits, for the old KX80s. I'm like, I'm going to beat that son of a bitch once and for all. Of course, I got smoked. Same thing. Got smoked. Even with a 105, totally illegal 105, I got smoked. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, they were fast. I mean, those guys here in the South, I thought California was where the fastest guys came from. I quickly learned that there's a lot of fast Southern boys.
Well, I mean, hell, Turpin won Supercross championship.
He did. He did, yeah. Oh, Rodney Barr, him, and
Mark Crozier.
Mark Crozier.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vince Devane, all those guys. I mean, that I looked up to.
Not to mention you mentioned earlier, Crane.
Yeah.
Crane was under the radar, but you can pull him up in the vault, and he's got.
Oh, I know.
He's in there.
Did you know I did a show with Mark and with Mike? Separate times. So say if not, go listen to it. It's a good time.
That guy,
I feel like we did. Didn't you and I watch the Crane one night? We were texting.
Didn't we what?
Watch the podcast with Mike on it. Crane.
Maybe. I'll tell you, if there's ever a nuclear war, you know who's going to survive? It's going to be the frickin' cockroaches and Mike Crane.
No,
it'll be the two people that are left.
Mike and his mom.
Yeah, okay.
Dude,
that guy, I would not.
She's the best.
I would not get in a cage match with that old son of a bitch. I would not. He would choke you out so goddamn fast.
Did you see that he just bought like a like a 690 dual sport or something?
No, he bought a 500 gas guy.
Okay, yeah, he bought a 500.
Colorado.
Bobby posted about it, and I was like, that son of a bitch was still overall.
He would put you in a rear naked choke and you would tap out. I don't care what you say. That guy.
Still my favorite Mike Crane story with the race down at Perry. You've heard it, I know.
I'm sure. Yeah.
When I met Mike, he had he was hanging out on the AdventureRider.com website. This is Mike that didn't do social media, Mike. Like.
Well, he can't do it now because it's Instagram.
Yeah, and he still hadn't figured it out. So, and I got him.
It's like 9 months.
So when I was sitting there, he came over to see me when I was going through chemo. I guess this was in 2001. 2001. It had to be 2001, but we were in my basement, and I finally set him up on Instagram.
You mean like 2011? Instagram wasn't around in 2001.
2021.
21. Okay.
Frank. Frank's email is still at AOL.com.
Yeah.
It's mine.
I can't talk shit. One of my original ones is Yahoo, and I gave somebody my Yahoo email, and he's like, "Oh wow, you've had that for a while," and I was like, "Fuck you, kid."
I have a bellsouth.net. So
that's what mine is. Bellsouth.net.
Yeah.
No, but anyway, so we put him on a Instagram, and once he realized that he could go find Billy Lyles and all the old people and find these pages that showed old vintage motocross. He just loved it. And he was always on it, and I could tag him, and he would tag me back, and he started out using it, and somebody hacked him, and he's had no Instagram
Yep.
now, and I'm surely someone could grab it and fix it and get him a new page, but
No, his daughter. We were talking about it the other day when we were on the boat with him.
Tori should be able to fix
no,
it.
Tori
or
was
Brittany.
like, you can't get him to.
Isn't he like 78 years old now? How old is he?
62, 61.
It's freaking.
And he's still faster than me.
Well, so the story I was
He's a
going to tell you, and
badass.
it's been told 100 times, but he ran off the name Georgia Dual Sport Wannabe. That was his tag name, his handle, an ADV rider. So I meet him through a guy named Alex Rodriguez, I don't know, 20 years ago. But Crane, I was down there is like probably 2000. This was 2002 or 3, 4. Crane had one of those old silver 640 Adventure KTMs. Not Adventure, 640 Dual Sport, the LC4.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
I think it.
Probably a late 90s model. But he leaves Ackworth, drives to Perry with his normal backpack and his old gear that he wears every day. Takes the mirrors off, puts them in his backpack, races the 2-hour hair scramble, wins it. But when he's
overall.
but he's
Yeah.
passing people and he's putting the blinker on, passing people and honking the horn.
blowing the horn.
Honking the horn. He gets done, doesn't stick around for the trophy because he's going to ride out to Highland, not Highland Park. What's the place out west or out east in Greensboro?
Durhamtown?
Rides after going from Ackworth to Noon or to Perry, races, finishes, then gets on the same bike, puts his mirrors back on, and rides to Durhamtown, meets his brother, rides all day, and then rides from Greensboro back, and stops at Waffle House. Excuse me. Stops at Waffle House somewhere on the way. Gets all the way back. That was on a Sunday, and got up early in the morning, and rode his bike to work.
Yeah. Probably at like 4:30 in the morning.
About 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah. And it was just a normal day for him.
Regular Mike Crane.
Yeah. And Mike is a nut. I can't express like just the level of chaos that I got. And he's just like, yeah, it's whatever. It's normal.
Unbelievable. That guy. Great guy too, though.
Yeah, we had a lot of good stories that we pulled out of him and just uncandid. Just
He didn't tell you that one?
Well, no, we've talked about that one before. But all right, Frank. So here's one that I wanted to get out of you. You got into planes not too long ago, and that was a pretty cool story because your dad was a pilot, and so that was really neat to see when you went down that road. So out of all the moto guys that you've taken up, who'd you scare the shit out of the most?
Without question, Jared Lesher.
I put Lesher with a question mark because when you flew me up, I could tell that you were trying to get me, and I was just like, play it cool, whatever, we're going to be fine. Like, unless you literally would have shut off the engine, then I would have been like, oh, like you could have probably pranked me pretty good at that, but I was like, no, I'm staying cool. Then you were like, oh man, you're still good? Man, Lester was freaking out right now.
I've gotten him. He's been up twice, I'm pretty sure, and I've gotten him both times, and it was fantastic. I just zero gravity, threw the stick forward, everything's coming up. He's screaming.
Listen, I've never
Guy
gone.
can seat
I've
bounce
never
180
gone. We tried
foot
to go one
triple.
time. I've never gone. We tried to meet up one time, but I had to tell my wife I was going to get a root canal or something because she won't let me hang out with Frank.
Unsupervised.
Seriously, after the last incident, she said, "You are not allowed to hang out with anybody, Frank, unless there's parental adult supervision."
That's true.
So we're not allowed. I'm not allowed to go on the plane. My wife said,
How'd you
"Absolutely
get
not."
here tonight?
Huh?
How'd you get here tonight?
You're here. You just
I'm
can't
the
be
adult.
alone.
Little does she know we're going to do some
she-
stupid shit after this show.
She doesn't know really where I am actually.
Oh my goodness.
Did you just like give her a gummy and just let her fall asleep and then just left?
Yeah, she's probably glad that I'm gone. Actually, she's like, "Oh, finally a reprieve." It's like escaping Alcatraz, living with me, you know. So
Yeah, I would think it was, but yeah, Jared was definitely the one. And God, I've taken so many people up. My thing about the flying is, and I've said it since I've really been doing it, is I honestly believe, unless I'm out doing aerobatics, which is kind of a one-man show, because you don't want to drag somebody into your own mistake if you don't, if you don't want to, but
Yeah.
you don't need to. But I really think the saddest thing is an empty seat in an airplane, because you can share it, and I can tell you. Well, there's a guy that was an old motocross guy around Georgia, and a guy named Mike Talbert, and some of the guys would know him. I took him up on his first flight, and now Mike is 500-600 hours. Got his instrument rating, his commercial. He's working towards getting his ratings to be a airline transport pilot. So that's his goal. Another few years, and excuse me, and he'll have the hours to do it. But it's fun. You never know who you're going to take up.
Yeah.
I took your son up.
And my wife,
And
dude,
your
you
wife.
gave me the cheapest, easiest Mother's Day gift that was the most welcome that I've purchased for or haven't had to purchase for. So that was great.
No, those are free. It's fun, man. People get it, and especially taking them up in the Super Cub. You can fly around with the doors open, take them
you're like
chasing
40
deer.
feet and you're
Yeah, you can do all kinds of fun stuff, but they're not really freaking out, because it's I fly around with them pretty low, over the fields and whatnot. So that whole idea of being scared of heights and all that, as it's just not really there when you're riding around a Cub.
Yeah.
You can put your flip flops on, hang your feet out the window, and putz around at 80 miles an hour. Is what I usually do late in the evening, and it's nice out, and people enjoy it. It's like a Jeep in the air.
Did he take you over the water and dip the wheels in the water?
So
Talk
when
about that
he
on
and
the way
I
over
went out, it was like right after a massive rainstorm, and the water was up too high to like kind of mess with that or like go buzzing under the bridges or whatever it was. We got to fly over Jared's place, and we did a few other things. Or
Jared's
whatever.
Mountain Part. Yeah, I think the water was too high and flooded, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Too much junk in the river.
The
to
coolest
ski
thing
it.
about
I do remember him being like, "There's deer right there," and I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I don't see shit." And then like finally he like kept getting lower and lower and lower, and then I'm like, "Oh, I mean, like, dude, it was like looking at a grain of salt that's on my finger."
Yeah.
You see the deer?
The coolest thing about being friends with Frank, with all his hobbies and his flying and motorcycles and all the stuff he's done, the Rip to Cabo and all the cool things he's done,
I forgot about Rip
is that as a middle-aged old dude like me, I just live vicariously. I don't have to do any of that shit anymore. I just watch him on frickin' social media, and I go, that was pretty frickin' cool, But I just live vicariously. Us old guys live vicariously through Frank, and we don't have to go out and do any of that stuff,
Well, I don't know. Valerie and I couldn't have kids, so everybody asks me all the time. Like, it's got to be expensive for the hobbies. I'm like, listen, your kids
way
exponentially more expensive than my dirt bikes and airplanes. Infinity, not even an argument.
No, that's something I didn't even think about. And funny, we talked about Fogel earlier. Is when my wife and I were having problems with getting pregnant, we met with you guys and we talked for a good bit. And actually, Fogel's wife is a maternity doctor, or like
fertility doctor. Really, I didn't know that.
Yes. So my wife didn't even realize it until we got one of his Christmas cards. She's like, "I know this woman here," and then we looked her up and we're like, "Oh, because you've been to her." Yeah. So
really?
Fogel's wife is part of fertility doctor. So, but
so you know this Dr. Fogel guy, right?
No, how would I know him?
Yeah, he did this for me right here. He plated that. Did both my ACLs.
No, I only did one dumb thing, and that was with Byron. So
but
I didn't make the rounds. I don't need a guy on retainer.
Yeah,
no,
we've
I'm
got a
one and
guy
done,
on
baby.
retainer.
I had a 30-year hiatus between my last crash.
So speaking of Rip to Cabo, so I was at and Perry and Matt Shoot. So I had what was that, an 06 RM250. I was down at Perry. They were doing like this grass race. It wasn't a Citra thing. It was
it was Sorks, and it was like the day before the hair scramble. I remember it. It was like in a field. It was almost like what you'd see to test for
when you broke your collarbone before you went to Rip to Cabo?
Yeah.
You had to go get it plated. Like 2 days later, you went to Rip to Cabo or something like that.
Yeah. So I did it on April 5th. It was going to be the very first year. So a little backstory on that, which is kind of interesting. So I had watched the Rip to Cabo on TV, and then it used to be called the Rip to the Tip.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to Rip to Cabo. In 2011, Jeff Cargola Ox died. Am I talking too low?
No, you're putting your hand in front of your face.
Oh. In 2000, in
Which is better
2011,
looking,
Jeff
honestly.
was killed down there, and
Oh.
and the story on it, you know, Jeff was kind of like he loved everybody. He was real big on the Stoke, and so Cameron and them were like, hey, you know, they had their Desert Assassins. Let's reach out. Let's try to branch out and bring other people in to our group. And I had been communicating with them that I wanted to ride with them, and we had some mutual friends just through the industry and people I'd known. And anyway, long story short, I got Cameron and I started talking, and I got invited to go. So this is 2013. I'm down there, and it's wet grass. I'm warming up the bike, and I'm kind of having fun drifting it on this wet grass, standing up, kind of drifting it, kind of backing it into the corner. Which later Matt Chu goes, Frank, we don't back in dirt bikes, and he was right. And because as I slowed down to a stop, it just kind of caught a clump, and I literally just did a slow roll. But when I did, my helmet broke this collarbone in 4 places. Well, Dr. Rosenstein, our friend, he said, yeah, I got this guy named Evander Vogel. He's one of my partners at Resurgence Orthopedics off there at Northside. And he said he's the best. He was a Navy surgeon, and he worked at Guantanamo Bay putting Marines back together. And he goes, he's an amazing guy. And so I meet him. He does an amazing surgery, puts it all back together. And so that was on the 5th. I had the surgery. I think I broke it like the 2nd, but anyway, I have it on the 5th, the surgery, and I'm supposed to start the Rip to Cabo on the 23rd.
Oh, that's not that bad. Yeah.
So on the
you're
21st,
fine.
I go back in and I see Evander, and I said, hey, I'm going to ride Baja, but I want your blessings. And he pulls it up and he goes, listen, I fixed your collarbone. It's not healed, but it's fixed. And he said, it's just going to, I said, well, can I ride with it? He said, I can't advise it, but I'm not going to stop you. He said, it's just a matter of how much pain you can take.
How much pain you can tolerate.
And so, so I went down there and did it. And the hardest part about that first year doing it is Cameron and those guys, you've got Johnny Campbell and all these Metal Militia guys and all these, California guys that are celebrities within motorsports. And nobody cares who you are, and they don't care who each of them are. And they're great about it because they play these games. They don't talk about themselves ever. They don't sit there and, the only time they ever say is they always refer to Johnny Campbell as 11-time Baja champion, which is fair. You've earned it. Yeah. But they don't care if I was the B-class Citra champion. No one cares about that crap, right? So their rule they play down there is you can't say anything possessive. So you can't say me, mine, or mine, right?
So what happens if you do?
You got to you do 10 push-ups on the spot in your gear. But you can't say 10 either. What ends up happening is they throw the teasers out. You'll get there and go, whose radio is stuck? And of course, me would be, oh, sorry, that's mine. Whose? And I went, oh my God. Now I got a broken collarbone. my incision's not even
healed
yet. And so I'm kind of downplaying the whole thing, and I'm trying to finish the ride, and I do. I full pull thing, and I'm trying to do my push-ups. And then, of course, you count 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, and then you go 10, and you go, how many? And you go, oh, my God, now you said 10. So now it's 9 plus 1, and you couldn't say mine or mine. You could say me's, which sounds stupid. But that's what they say. So anyway, so Fogel fixed my thing. I made it. I finished the ride, and then I guess every injury since then, I've sent him to you, and you've sent him to other people.
Dude,
and then
I've literally sent him like
plated this
4
other
people.
one, and now they're all plated.
Yeah,
they're good, and I've kept riding. The last time I went in and got this one plated
was when I went to my knee and found out that he did knees.
I didn't know he did knees.
Yeah, that's when you found out. You literally were like on the floor below or above, and I was going to see Rosenstein, but he was in Italy.
It was the same day.
Yeah, it was the same day. And
I think I remember that.
And then you told him, and then Fogel said, I specialize in knees, right? And I was like, what? And I changed to him.
He's
that
the
was
best.
like 18 or 19. That was before my kid was born.
19, because I broke this collarbone with Casey Cochran. In fact, Casey just had a birthday yesterday, And of course, we all know Casey's racing Supercross now and motocross, but
I actually DM'd him to see if I could get.
Oh, you
stuff.
did? Did he
didn't
not
see it.
respond?
Yeah, he didn't see it yet.
I broke my left one, and I'm left-handed, and I broke it.
That makes sense.
And so I broke, yeah, doesn't it? And it's the worst because I never did any good at mini-O's in the Supercross. I was literally in a top 5 position. I'm so excited. I've got the one triple. I've got the little rhythm, and then I'm coming around the corner, and there's the finish line, and I'm done. Now I glance. I got no one really behind me. There's not anybody in front of me. I'm coming in. I'm done. I lose my concentration. Short the triple. Go over the bars. Break the collarbone. Never got the top 10. So Casey goes out, and Amy and Doug, his parents, we become good friends over the years, and Casey's out doing the practice lap on his, and he's on 85s or something, and hits the tough block standing up, sight lap. Just hits the tough block on a corner standing up on the sight lap, falls over and breaks his on his right, and he's right-handed. So here we are sitting around doing nothing, and I wanted to stay the whole week because I had Justin Homan had come in from who I'd met from the Rip Cabo. He's a Metal Militia freestyle guy. He brought his son in the race, so I did this in Supercross weekend, so I still got the whole week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can handle it. So I just kept my shoulder in place and had a sling, and Casey had his. So while everybody else was racing and having fun, me and Casey kept having matches of cornhole. But since
That's that picture you posted yesterday of you and him.
Yeah,
and slings.
right. And so I kept, and he's a little kid at the time, so I keep telling him that this is the world amphibious cornhole because we're using our opposite hand.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of ambidextrous. I called it amphibious, and he thought that was the funniest thing. So I let him know yesterday on his birthday that he is the runner-up world amphibious cornhole champion because we both played with slings for a week and did nothing but play cornhole because we crashed.
Yeah, I have a quick little story about collarbone. I broke my right collarbone in 1985, and I did it at Recyca Beach. I don't know if you ever remember Recyca Beach.
I've heard of it. But
Okay.
Yeah.
It was Diamondback, is what they called it, wasn't it?
What no.
Resaca?
Recyca Beach, yeah. It was this track over off of 75. It was a dust bowl, hard dirt. And you asked earlier about what's the difference between southern.
Here.
Yeah, in
Okay.
Recyca Beach, Georgia.
Resaca, Georgia.
In fact, Miss Recyca Beach was Marla Maples, who was married to
Donald Trump.
at one time. Yeah, that's how old this is. This is 1985.
You remember? Are you old enough to know that he was married to somebody named Marla Maples?
No.
So there
I'm
you
not
go.
even 40.
We're showing our age. So anyway, so broke collarbone story. You asked what was the difference between Southern riders and Northern and California riders. Here's the difference. So I get a horrible start, 125B class, and go up over this hill, come down, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like right at the very back of the pack. And this guy in front of me slides out. Guy had a half shirt on. I shit you not. I've still got the pictures. If you look at my damn Instagram, you'll see a picture of me sitting on the ground and this asshole in his half shirt riding off. So he slides out. I go over the bars, break my collarbone, break the end of my elbow off, have a huge contusion on my elbow. I had to have, surgery there. But that's the difference. You never would have seen some asshole in California wearing a half shirt making you crash and break your collarbone and you trash your arm. So there's the difference. And if anybody on your show can find that son of a bitch, I would love to know who that
The internet can work wonders.
I've got a picture. There's a picture on my Instagram. That guy riding off. If anybody can identify him, I'll give you $100.
You heard it here.
It could have been Shane Silvers. I'm going to go right now and say it was Shane.
I mean, who wears a half shirt?
Could have been Shane.
Seriously,
I'm going to go Shane Silvers.
who wears a half shirt racing motocross?
You know what's funny is I sent him the show link too to let him know. I'm gonna message him right now.
If it's him,
What year?
If it's him,
Hey,
you tell him he's a
in,
dead man. I mean,
In 85?
to this day, huh?
In 85?
I don't think he's
85.
that
There's
old.
a picture on my. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see a picture of me sitting on the ground
All right,
with my cool little haircut, my mechanic and my dad looking over me as I'm sitting there crying on the ground as the guy, the culprit's riding off on a CR125. Swear to God, you can't make it up. So that's the difference between Southern riders. They wore a half shirt,
So one of the funny things about Fogel that I think he learned from you with going to do the Rip to Cabo is when he did my surgery, he's like, hey, I woke up from it. He's like, hey, so I put in thicker screws because I know you're going to ride sooner than I want you to ride. So I just let you know that you did that. And he's right, because within 4 weeks I was doing a Loretta area qualifier. And this was
100%.
2016. Yeah. And it was good enough because it was the same year. So it was right after Atlanta Supercross, I broke it. Had surgery like a month later. And Croom, at the end of December 2016, I rebroke it, but right at the end of the plate. So the plate is here, and that's why it's sticking up.
Dude, that looks pretty jacked up, man.
Yeah. Well, I said, hey, do I need to worry about it? Like, he's like, it's got to heal. And I was like, well,
that's bladed? I mean, that's bladed the way that looks?
I broke it at the plate.
At the end of
so the plate, it healed like this after I rebroke it. He's like, no, it'll be fine. He's like, but I can go in and I can fix it. I said, let's just wait till I re-break it again. Yeah. If I can do it 2 times in 1 year, it's going to happen soon enough. But yeah, so far I'm almost 10 years into not re-breaking it. So any time now, any day now, we'll make that happen.
Well, there wasn't any, the right one was it needed to be plated, but when the left one happened, he said, do you want me to plate it? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, at this age, I don't want to be disproportionate. I don't want to be crooked. I mean, like I said, I want.
Yeah, your balls are already drooping.
They're already hanging in the water. Yeah. I mean, let's
get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. But no, I just at that point I was like, it didn't really matter. I've broken so many other things since the right collarbone. I've broke my neck and my jaw and all that other stuff, which that was a Matt Shoe story in its own. But
we're gonna get there.
Yes. But yeah, so at that point I was like, what's another surgery?
I had broke my right collarbone and my left arm at the same time, my elbow. So I was in a sling here, and in the thing they pull your shoulders back, because they used to not plate them. They used to just make you tough it out and let the bones grow. So they overlapped. So I had to go to school the next 2 days later.
You had to have bathroom help on that accident.
To this day, I use my left hand. Yeah, I have to use my. What was that?
Who we got calling in? Hey, you're on with Campfire Moto Stories. Who do we have here?
This is Timmy.
Timmy.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Timmy? How you doing, brother?
He said he had a
doing pretty good. Just
bicycle.
wrapped up a 36-mile bicycle ride. I'm still in my cleats driving down the road.
How many watts?
I didn't look at the watts. I hurried up, threw the bike in the van, and made the call. The ride went a little late. We got delayed with rain.
Timmy taught me about watts the other day, so now I'm interested in watts.
Timmy, how do you find 36 miles all downhill?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. No, actually, it wasn't downhill, but if you get behind a really big pack of people, then it makes it a lot easier. And then when you get done with the ride, your average is really high, and people think you're a beast. So really, that's the answer.
Because it's all about the Strava numbers, right?
I'm thinking.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, average speed is everything.
Yeah, I know when I'm riding my bicycle in a pack of people. Yeah, I know that drafting's important.
Somehow I gotta feel like they want you to be the lead horse and draft behind
you're
you.
You're the most swift.
And I'm fine till the battery runs out on that son of a bitch. You got a pedal. That's the problem.
Dude, e-bikes are the way to go.
Oh, you're talking about a pedal bike. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think you'd fit in the Lycra that they're wearing, Jay.
No, and nobody wants. Even if I did fit in it,
it looks like Borat.
That's 200 pounds of shit in a 100-pound bag. Nobody wants to see that,
So, Timmy, I do appreciate you sending me the picture of Frank delaminating and resizing the things, because you'll have to go back and look at it. He was really dumbfounded for a second until he remembered what happened, and then he was very much like, oh, shit, yeah, I did do that.
Timmy, I forgot all about that.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny. With the old age, you'll have that, right? But, it's funny because all throughout the whole time I knew Frank, we had a deal, an agreement. He always says, hey, listen, I make the jokes and you take care of you wash the bikes. Okay, that was always the deal. So now I'm glad I finally get to turn it back over on Frank and make a joke out of it. That was too funny. Yeah, I remember. So back when I was racing, I wasn't really in with like sponsorships and stuff. I really didn't know how to do all that stuff. And Frank, being the people person that he was and is, he took the job upon himself to act as my agent and made a lot of connections for me. But within that, it was funny. One day he called the company. I forget what company it was, but it was an aftermarket tear-off company. And he's like, "Oh yeah, like I got this sweet deal for us, and
I forgot about that.
we're gonna get tear-offs like super cheap." And I was like, "Oh great, yeah, like I could really use that." And he was like, "I'm gonna order like 1,000 of them," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." So we end up like splitting it or whatever, and it was like no refunds, of course. He gets them. He's so stoked. And then we got to looking at them. I'm like, "Frank, those don't fit." He's like, "Yeah, they do. This is what they are." And yeah, I remember he was so disappointed because it had the paper in between each one. It was like tear off paper, tear off paper, tear off paper.
1,000
It was
times.
Have you ever heard the? Have you
the
ever heard the whole?
funniest thing.
Have you ever heard the whole story about Timmy? About how he and Frank met? The whole story?
Nope.
Can I tell it? You mind if I tell it?
Yeah.
So,
I love it.
so Timmy was out practicing at what was the track he was practicing at? It was
Scrum and dirt.
No, it was Scrub and Dirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're out there, Timmy, correct me if I'm wrong, you were living in this trailer that had like a tarp in the middle of the winter or something like that?
It's a cargo trailer.
Okay,
Like a
so
landscape
it was a cargo trailer.
A cargo trailer.
Yeah, so yeah, it was a cargo trailer that was completely empty, just plywood. We had a mini fridge. I had a mini fridge, an electric cord stuck in it outside, and then I had like a George Foreman grill and a microwave.
But what people
and that was it. So
right. But what people don't know
that
is
was at Bremen MX.
That was Bremen. It was Bremen.
It was at Bremen
It was
where
at Bremen,
he was
right.
living, but I met him at
Oh, you met him at Scrub and Dirt. Okay.
on a Tuesday.
But what people don't know about that, Timmy, is that the reason why you'd moved away from home and you were doing that and you were in those circumstances was because you wanted to get away from a lot of your friends, things that they were doing, and you wanted to make sure and control your own destiny. So you kind of just went out on your own. You left everybody, and you lived in this trailer. And Frank met him, and basically invited him into his home. He met your wife. He came and, I mean, basically adopted him like a son. I mean, took him under his wing.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing is, and that's when I shortly after met Timmy, and he had these roached out is the word that somebody used.
I think
Campo
Timmy
used
taught me
in the
to
Vurb.
ride roach.
I don't know if you ever saw the Vurb article.
It's absolutely true. Roached out.
Yeah,
to say
roached
the
out.
least.
That's why we wrote a Vurb article about Timmy. It was Timmy Bador, a feel good story.
Yeah.
It's because I don't know if you ever read it, but it was a great story, and
I probably did it one.
it was a great story, and but it's about how Frank had met him, taken him under his wing, and how Timmy had come from, where he came from, and what happened to a lot of his friends, just did bad things, and how he chose his own path and wanted to live a better life. And I mean, we had a deal when he went to Loretta's. We had a deal.
2014.
2014. The deal was that we made, and Frank asked me to help. I said, absolutely, I'm totally down. Wanted to help, contribute. And so me and another guy and Frank, we put together the money so he could go and race Loretta's. And we said the deal, kind of tongue in cheek. The deal was, all right, if you end up on the podium, remember, you got to thank us. Never in a million years did I think that would actually happen. Lo and behold, goes out there, he whole shots his first moto, ends up winning the first moto. Right,
I think
Timmy?
so. Didn't
Yeah.
you win it?
Is that correct?
Yes, I did. I whole shot it and won the first moto.
Wins the moto, and we're on freaking internet, at home, and he gives us a shout out. I want to thank, Frank Mann. I want to thank Jason Assad. I mean, coolest thing ever, that he actually remembered who helped get him there. So Timmy is,
And let me jump in on that
Yeah,
too.
go ahead.
One of the neat things was this too is so Timmy's there and I think Timmy, wasn't it? You were on the first moto was the 250B.
Two-stroke.
It was a two-stroke class, and so
Yeah.
this two-stroke he had was clapped. If it had 250 hours,
It was
had
my
won.
practice bike.
yeah.
Roached out, and then the four-stroke was a 2011
11 with a
Honda with an
2009
O-
Craigslist motor.
with an 09 motor that his dad got off of Craigslist. And but anyway, so Timmy goes up, and I think Jason might have watched it and sent me to. But I had heard that, or we had heard that he had won, got the whole shot. But I don't think we put brand new tires when he went there. But he had a brand new Dunlop on there, and without coaching from either Jason or I, he was just genuine. I mean, you watch every podium now, and all the kids read off from the sign that their mom, and then they go, and anybody else I forgot, thanks. That's every kid. And here's Timmy, basically came out from nothing, on an old bike, wearing old gear. I think we had got him some TLD. I think Todd Hickson helped
We
us.
did. Yeah.
We got him some new TLD gear, but he had an old helmet that Timmy had custom painted. My wife in the kitchen touched it up so it looked, because she's an artist. But she
I was gonna
touched up
say
the paint.
she's an incredible artist.
Yeah. So anyway, Timmy, I don't want to belabor this point, but Timmy was, as Jason said, very gracious, thanked us, but then said, and boy, that Dunlop tire really just hooked up and got me out there for the start. Nobody trained him for that. He just did it on his own. And goes on to, what did you hole shotted 4 of the 6 motos?
Yeah, 4 of the 6 I got credited with.
Got credited 4 of the 6 hole shots. And by the end of the week, Motorcycle Superstore had Timmy in brand new carbon fiber Bell Motorcycle Superstore helmets. And Dunlop had him in tires, and I wasn't there. We came one day, we flew up there in a helicopter for the day, and but Timmy did that all on his own. Like,
That doesn't sound bougie at all.
the
One day we flew up in a helicopter.
but
Yeah,
I mean, he did it himself.
I didn't get invited to that. I remember.
Your
I was
wife
up
wouldn't
there.
let you go?
Oh,
There's
no,
adult
apparently they would have put
permission.
us over the weight limit, I guess, or something like that with the program. I don't know.
Oh,
Some
we were
God.
bullshit
over
excuse. Some bullshit excuse. That's okay. I'm putting the bill, but I don't get a seat on the.
But point of that all is, and giving Timmy all the props. We got him there and helped him, and but he just genuinely was grateful, and it, boy, when that happened, I mean, I think Jason would tell you the rest was, it just, everybody wanted a piece of him. Like, here's this nice kid,
I
he's a good-looking
remember-
kid, and he's fast, and they wanted to be involved.
I won my regional, and after the regional, went home and feeling good, really motivated, to continue training and everything. And my dad, I was talking with him about like how excited I was, and that was when he broke the news to me that he didn't think that we were actually going to be able to go to Loretta's. And this is after I had won the regional, because
That's right.
he had already maxed out the credit cards and spent all the money chasing the regional. And so that was when I made a GoFundMe at a last ditch effort, and Frank and Jason and a few others thankfully
Vurb.
donated. And I just the whole time, the whole month leading up to Loretta's, I was mountain biking alone in the North Georgia mountains, and I had a lot of time to just self-reflect, and there was nothing more I wanted than to get on the podium to thank everybody. I felt like it was my mission, because I didn't have the money to repay you guys, so I felt like that was the only way I could do it.
And you certainly did, but I got to say something for everybody that's listening and watching. You got to understand, if you guys can just close your eyes and let me paint you a picture. Timmy didn't have a mountain bike. I did. My mountain bike helmet was too big, so Timmy wore my wife's mountain bike helmet. Timmy didn't have mountain biking clothes, so he had purple and green and all kinds of crazy colored skinny jeans that he cut off at above the mid thigh.
Yeah.
And he had.
I did not have mountain bike shorts, no padded shorts.
And he
just
had he had tank top t-shirts striped, like, just t-shirts, and he had Vans, I think. And Timmy had this. I had this backpack, a hydration pack. So paint this picture. He's going out here to Blankets Creek, Van Michael,
Blankets where he's
all of these places where these guys are out there seriously getting after it. And Timmy, I can't remember if he did Strava or not at the time, but Timmy had this, he was opposed to doing iPhones. He had this old crappy Samsung or some kind of, I don't know, it was just barely not a BlackBerry, but he would play his music loud in the net of the carry of the pouch on the back of this backpack. Well, Timmy would be out there and he's blowing the doors off people They're in their full mountain bike kit with their $12,000 Specialized S-Works fit. And Kimmy would come back. I go, how'd it go? He goes, it was awesome. I passed all these guys in their spandex and smoked these guys, and they're all pissed. And he's wearing my wife's helmet and cut off skinny jeans with a radio playing Taylor Swift or
Well,
something.
let's actually. Hey, Frank, let's actually rewind.
Hold on.
Let's
That would
rewind
be
just a
Justin
moment.
Bieber. He would be probably listening too. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Frank, let's rewind a moment and actually give Russell the credit, because your neighbor Russell had a spare mountain bike
That's
that
actually
was his
true.
old stump jumper.
It was actually true. That was a very old stump jumper. Yeah. Yeah. No,
But
that's
your
actually
neighbor,
true.
your neighbor was nice enough to lend that to me for our program.
That's
And
exactly right.
you know, thanks to him too. I mean, it was just crazy. Everybody pitched in, and that was it.
But nobody gave you mountain bike riding gear, and that's what made it beautiful.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, I'll tell you some irony, Timmy. I was just talking to Frank last night. He's actually talking about how well you and your wife are doing and your role there. You know,
At the Baker's factory.
Yeah, and everything you're doing. And I got to tell you, man, Frank and I are super proud of you. We gave you an opportunity, but you really made the most of it. And I'll tell you something about Timmy. He calls me on my birthday. You know, he'll literally call me. That's the type of guy he is. It's been, how many years has it been? It's been 11 years.
11, 12
He'll
years.
call, he'll personally reach out. It's good things happen to good people. And I'm a big believer in goodwill and paying it forward. And it's very fitting that now he's training other people as a mentor, which is really part of Frank's legacy and helping him. So it's really, it is the ultimate feel good story, but it's also a testimonial to the fact that character counts.
Yeah.
And good things happen to good people. And he's earned everything he has. Couldn't be more proud of you, Timmy.
Well, much appreciated, guys. I can truly say that I would not be anywhere close to where I am right now if it weren't for all of you guys, and that's a fact. I don't
Not me though.
in any way take credit for where I'm at. I mean, I can't believe it. You know, I'm the kid that grew up in Central Michigan that, you know, I had never even seen a professional ride growing up until I was, you know, not that long ago actually. So yeah, crazy. And then you just keep your head down, you work, and you be the best you can be, and crazy things happen. And the other thing is, like, how I actually got the job I have now was I had a friend that was a girl, and she was actually from Colombia, and she had trained with Mike Brown. And so Mike Brown at the time was working at Baker Factory, and the track guy at Baker Factory had was quitting. He put in his
talking about
1 month notice
Alicia.
or what.
Alicia.
Yeah, Alicia. Well, and everybody was always mean to Alicia, but I was friends with her, and you know, she was like the person where nobody had anything to benefit from being her friend, but I like to be friends with everybody, so I was friends with her. You know, I mean, she was from Colombia. She didn't really have many friends here, and
She's a
but
racer.
she had a passion for the sport, and she just loves motocross through and through. That's all she wants to do. She traveled to the States not knowing anybody, and so she was at Moto X. That's where I met her originally, and then she went to Baker Factory, and when the track guy quit at Baker Factory, she talked to Mike Brown and said, hey, like, we should really get Timmy. Timmy's really good. And to think that I got the job just from being nice to the girl that others weren't nice to is just crazy. You know, you really don't know who could open that door for you. And that's the thing is you have to treat everybody with respect, because why not, you know?
It all comes full circle. The world's round.
Man, I treat everybody like a jokester asshole though. So I don't know.
And look who you got in studio. This is what happened.
That's
I've
why
been
you're
doing it wrong this whole
That's why you're
time.
scraping the bottom of
That's
the
why you
barrel
got
on your
us.
guests. You know?
I mean, yeah, I definitely am. Luckily, Timmy called in. We got
well,
somebody
there the ratings went up when Timmy called
Well,
in.
let me tell one of my favorite Timmy stories, and since he's on the line, and it's actually a good one. So I think Jason and I were involved with it, but I have a good friend of ours that I met through Rip to Cabo, and his name's Jason McCoon.
Yeah, I know what you're doing.
This is a great story. And so Jason McCoon he would write articles and stuff for, what was it, Timmy? Motocross Action or Dirt Bike Motocross or Dirt Bike Action or
Well,
something?
he was connected with all of those, but he was like a product tester, and he also helped promote businesses. His business,
He did. He does.
Inside Line Connect, and yeah, so he would basically help like FMF, Poison, and many others just help with
Leat
marketing.
and the use we backpack and all that. So yeah, so anyway, he calls me and he's got this idea and he says, let's do this bike build. So we get with Cycle Trader, we get with Rock River, and what was his name? Mike with Rock River, Timmy? Mike
Duclos, yeah.
Mike Duclos.
Mike Duclos.
So Duclos is on board. So Duclos sends us a YZ250. This is for the
two-stroke.
This is for the two-stroke national at Glen Helen.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and
remember this.
2015, and then Christina Denning, who we all love and has helped immensely with Timmy, and actually gave Timmy a job for a while there working, and she got on board, and we came up with this idea. Well, hey, Jason will get with FMF and Enzo and all these people, and we'll do a magazine bike build, and so we'll get it, and we'll let Timmy race it, and we'll let him pit under the factory Cycle Trader Rock River rig at Glen Helen for the Outdoor National. And the first moto of the day was a 20 or 30-minute moto, and it was a two-stroke, open two-stroke deal. And so
it was in between the pro motos.
Okay, it was in between the pro motos. So anyway, we get
on the pro national day, yes, in between the pro motos.
So there's so many great stories, but that go with this day. But so we get out there, and Timmy is he's ready and gets a good start and ends up running great and finishes 4th. He beats Mike Brown. Brownie finished 5th. What was it? It was Sean Collier, Jason Surratt,
John Ames, and Ryan Surratt, yeah.
And then you. And so anyway, I remember when I was so excited. We're all going crazy. We're just, it's out of control how excited everybody was because, we're just like, hey, we made this bike build, and here's Timmy out there finishing against the legends on this track and just really, just absolutely not without question hauling ass at Glen Helen. And a Glen Helen Outdoor National is not a smooth and easy track, and he hammers it. And anyway, he's coming across the line when he's up to the finish line, and I come out there and kind of tackle him. And all I can remember now is my fancy tortoise shell reading glasses came off my shirt, and they fell on across the starting line. And after we get through celebrating and taking pictures with all the people at Rock River and Jason and FMF and all this, I look up, and right as I look up, I'm thinking, I got to go get my glasses. Here comes the tractor that tills the start before the next one. And now I have some Warby Parker tilled in. I've left something somewhere. My glasses are in the starting line at Glen Helen.
And those were probably expensive bifocals, too.
But I tell you one other cool thing. Don Emler, Little D's dad, the guy that founded FMF, Timmy came back after the moto, and Don actually hand built that pipe for this bike. And so
Was this the bike?
No, I had one. No, I made a replica of it.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, that's the bike that I remember.
Yeah.
Was the one that was built.
It looked just like that, only it was better. I mean, that one I had my own stuff, but that was just stock. They had built Timmy's with Enzo and did the head and all kinds of stuff to it. But I loved Timmy so much that I wanted one. And then after that, Mike Duclos took the bike, the magazine bike, and his son raced it at Loretta's, I think. But at any rate, we get back and we're standing there, and everybody's just, man, Timmy's over the moon. We're having a ball. Just couldn't have been any better. And the pipe that Don Emler had built was purple, just the most beautiful purple as you can get. And Big Don doesn't say a whole lot, and he's standing there with his arm crossed, and I'm standing there, and we're looking at the bike, and he kind of nudges me with his arms crossed. He kind of nudges me in the shoulder, and I look up, and I go, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "See that pipe?" I go, "Yes, sir." I said, "That thing looks good." He goes, "Only way he said there ain't but one way to get a pipe like that." And I'm thinking he's going to drop a pearl on me on how he built it. And I look at him and I go, "Oh yeah, how's that?" He reaches up and does a mock wide open throttle fist.
Twist the grip, yeah.
Twisting that throttle. Timmy had it twisted. So
It's an incredible story, minus the bifocals being.
Well, it was the
No,
yeah,
that's the
it was
best
the
part.
top finishing 250,
it was the top finishing 250.
which at Glen Helen, I know fourth isn't the podium, but yeah, Sean was on the 500, and then the other guys were on 300s, which on those hills it's
feature
a
too.
little tricky.
Yep.
It's featured
It was
in
a
the magazine.
magazine feature, and then
Yeah.
the funny thing, the day before we did a photo shoot at Pala. I guess it's Fox Raceway now.
Yeah.
And one of my friends from Rip to Cabo, he had connections with Husqvarna. Timmy's out there doing photo shoots, throwing the nasty whips and oppos and all this over the big pro track. Comes back over and Manny Ornelius is standing there on his 350. Was a 350, wasn't it, Timmy? It was a brand new
Yes,
350.
yeah, it was.
Brand new 350 Husqvarna, with the blinkers. So it
was the Enduro.
the Enduro version.
Yeah, and it had blinkers on it.
So Timmy says, "Hey, Manny, can I take your bike out on the track?" And Manny's looking all panicked, and he goes, "Yeah, that's the bike right
That's
there.
it right there.
That is
Found it.
That's the bike."
Well, he was like, "Yeah, you can't hurt that thing."
Because you're not going to hurt it. Timmy goes out there on the pro track on an Enduro 350 with blinkers and a headlight. Comes back, all the blinkers are hanging by the wires.
They're dangling by the wire.
Wait. I was looking at to find the bike, so I was halfway paying. Is this the video at Dade City a few weeks ago?
No, so
that's a
that
different
no,
one.
no,
Okay,
Timmy,
okay,
you
okay.
ought to tell that. Timmy was out went racing in his Dade City.
Timmy,
with a
just so
dual-
you know, Dade City is my stomping ground. I grew up in Tampa. I grew up at Croom, Tampa, or Dade City. Like, that is my shit.
Yeah, too much fun. No, the Dade City thing. So last August, one of my best friends was actually getting married, and for his bachelor party, he wanted to go on a 500-mile enduro ride in like Tennessee. So it was the
to the
Rocky
boat.
Mountain 500 loop is what they call it. And so I actually had an SXF that I was able to tag. I got it street legal. I went online, got the whole headlight, tail light, the whole deal. And then anyway, afterwards, I thought it was so funny that I ended up bringing it out to Dade, and I didn't tell anybody that it was an SXF. And I just went out there for the night practice, and I put the headlight on and was passing people, and like Jason Lawrence and those guys. There was a ton of guys out there, and nobody knew who I was because I ran no numbers and
Yeah.
a lot, So anyway, yeah, there were a lot of guys were like trying to toy with me out there just because I was the guy that was on the enduro bike, right? But no, I ride like once a month now, and I just do it all for good fun. I like to lay down some fast laps, but I don't care to race anymore. But no, it's funny. A lot of people got a good kick out of it. It was a good time.
Oh yeah, there's a
I'm
bunch of
trying
those.
to find the video of it right now.
Well, it was pretty funny. Timmy's pretty humble about his riding, but he's introduced me to the guys that he works with down there, and I've gotten to know some of them. And
Well, hell, you fly your plane in and go hang out with them.
well, Alden's been very cool. He actually really likes flying, and the funny thing is Timmy gave him for Christmas a couple of years ago a windsock that Timmy still hasn't put up yet, but he gave him a windsock for Christmas.
Oh, I know.
It has
I was like, what
the
fuck is
Baker
the windsock?
factory.
Yeah.
So I'll have a
Well, it was
windsock.
actually a friend of mine gave it to me to give to him.
Oh, okay. I got you. So he has a windsock, right? So we got to get it put
He
up.
has the windsock, but we don't have the frame for it. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Well, we need to get the frame so we can get that put up on top of the shop. But he's been real cool about when I come down, because it's a great place to land the Super Cub.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been cool about that. And what the funny thing is a couple of guys down there and including Timmy's boss. I kid with him and I go, you got the fastest bulldozer driver in the business. He goes, I think I might. But he goes, I need him to be careful because we need him here. So
Yeah.
that's why Timmy takes
Timmy,
it easy.
some of the questions that I have from just the stories that you're sharing and stuff is now that you're the guy with like the $12,000 bicycle and the spandex, have you been passed by somebody with a $2,000 bicycle with like jean cut off shorts yet, or like has that not happened yet?
Not since I've been working at it. I can't say that it hasn't ever happened. I tell you what, actually, a couple of years ago, this was before I had my new Alcavi, but back when I had my, as Alden would call it, the 1990s model Scott, which was still a nice bike. I mean, it was carbon fiber frame, but it's not the new Alcavi, okay.
Well,
But
it's not his
anyway,
bike,
yeah,
right?
when I had the Scott, yeah, I actually did get passed by a guy on a fixie with like, I don't know, he was wearing some socks that looked like he got them from Hooters, and he had like gardening gloves. He had like gardening gloves with the fingers cut off, like in a crop top T-shirt. I don't know what this guy was
Hey,
doing,
that's
but
the
Might have
same
been
guy
the
that
guy.
ran Jason off at
The guy at
Recycle and broke his
Piece I
collar.
crashed into. Listen, I could
but
totally
that was many years ago. That had to have been like 4 years
We
ago.
found him,
Okay, so
Jason.
we're in
He
a
hadn't
much
even
different
finished
spot.
the show.
So you
Son of a
know,
We found him.
Shane Silver's confirmed that it's not him.
we could show.
Jimmy, I don't know if you dialed in, but Assad was talking about up at Resaca, a guy in a cut-off tank top.
Hold on, I've got the
Crashed
picture
him.
now.
You got the picture?
Yep.
Yeah, it's me sitting on the ground crying with a broken arm and a collarbone, and him riding off into freaking glory. Look at that. That guy. Find that son of a bitch right there. That guy with the look.
He's in a
Somebody has to know him. Somebody has to know that asshole.
So that's you crying right there.
Look
huh?
at that. But look, my hair looks great.
You did have.
You had
Where'd
hair?
that go?
My hair looks good. No, it's been gone for a while. Yeah, I told you I peaked at like 18. Yeah. That guy. That's the culprit. Find that guy, and I'll pay you $100.
That's a CR.
Yep.
That could be that CR right there.
It's not. That's a
that could be the
125.
one right. Ah,
It's a
damn it.
125. I remember as I ran into it, it was 125. Going flying over the bars. My dad's in his Jordache jeans sitting there looking at me, going, "You going to walk up?" And now I made the freaking ambulance guys come get me and take me off on a stretcher.
He doesn't have short jeans. They're just really skinny.
Yeah.
They're tight.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Sitting there in my Fox
How
gear.
old were you then?
I was 16, 17, 16. That was 85, so I was 16.
I thought I was a scrawny 16-year-old. You're pretty scrawny.
I was no. Listen, nobody's ever called me scrawny. Okay. I was.
Timmy, if
you
you
look
could
at
see
that
this
way.
I was a
pic-
pudgy
if you
little
could
dude
see
for a while. I
this
was a little
picture
thin
we're
there.
looking at. Jason Assad may be the original factory. At 16, he's got the Fox kit,
Oh yeah.
the Cinsalo boots, the
well, you know
custom
why?
painted
Because
helmet.
I grew up in Northern California. I used to go to the Fox factory, and I knew Jeff Fox, and I knew Pete Fox, and all my friends rode for Fox. I mean, Todd Hicks wore Fox, Pete Pensanita wore Fox, Terry Bostard wore Fox. So that's where Fox was originated back in the day, and Dean Matson wore Fox. So yeah, and Keith Turpin wore Fox. So yeah, that's what I wore until I got sponsored by Axo. And then in '86, I rode for Axo.
Wow. Looking legit
Yeah.
with a broken collarbone.
Well, Timmy, man, I haven't talked to you
That's
in,
history.
in many, many moons. In fact, thinking about it, I feel like the last time I've actually seen you is when we were trying to get you to do we were at Lane Wilson's house, and you were riding the Alta, and I was like, Timmy, do the pregnancy announcement for my kid. So that had to have been about 2019-ish. 'Cause it was right after my knee surgery.
Probably.
I think that's the last time I've actually seen you in person, other than maybe like running into you at a Supercross or something. Or it was just like, hey, dude, hey.
Right.
And then like we're walking the other direction kind of thing.
Yeah,
Might have
that
been
doesn't
19,
count.
Timmy,
Probably
because I
that
got
lane.
some pictures of us there in our FXR gear.
That's just the last time I can really truly remember like talking with him for a little bit.
See that helmet? It's a Don Serrano helmet.
That's what I'm saying, dude. No,
Yeah.
you're. I'm very impressed. Factory approved.
That was a cool helmet. Had the numbers, everything on it. Had Don Serrano. He was the guy that did like TLD stuff out in NorCal. Yeah, it's a cool helmet.
See the guy that would show up with like missing a shoe? that Troy ever talk about.
Timmy, he's got your bike on the screen.
Well, they can't see it right now. They're looking at us, our ugly asses.
On the YZ.
Well, Timmy, you got any other embarrassing or funny stories to bring up about Frank? Because that's really what I want to get out.
Nothing embarrassing. Well, okay. Okay, so
Okay.
again, don't let Frank fool you into thinking that I got to, stay at the Mann Mansion, rent free. Okay, we had a deal where I had to wash the air filters. Okay, which is not exactly a fun job. Okay, so yeah, it was like a cold winter day, and I think we had like maybe 30 air filters, all piled up, and so I had gone about washing all the air filters, and once I got the first batch cleaned up, Frank has the bright idea. He's like, I'm thinking we should lube up some air filters, get them ready, put them in the bag, and get them ready. So we had like this whole operation going, and
It's misting rain,
it was a
30
cold
degrees
day.
outside.
What's
It's
that?
miserable. It was
Yeah,
very cold.
cold. So I was, normally I'll use like gas, and then I will wash them with Simple Green, let them dry out completely. But back then the program was a little looser. But anyway, so I was then, going down the assembly line and oiling up all these air filters. Well, Frank had the sweetest dog that
Lily?
loved attention. I mean, what was by your side all the time, Lily. Yes.
Yeah.
And so she was, awesome. Well, anyway, I'm oiling up all these air filters, and I didn't even realize that Lily was right up beside me, and I ended up getting the Bell Ray air filter oil, and you guys know how nasty that stuff is. I got it on
horrible.
Lily's head.
Oh, no.
And the only way to cut that stuff is gas. So, needless to say, Lily had a nice blue streak on her head for a while to come because we weren't going to put gas on her head.
Timmy, you are lucky.
I
little,
forgot all of. I mean,
you
I
are
didn't
lucky.
forget
Little
about
bunny
it.
did not kill you. You're lucky you survived, little bunny. After that,
I think I got a picture. I know I
yeah.
got a picture of it because I walked downstairs. Timmy's down there lubing up these filters, and my sweet little dog's looking at me, and she's got Bell Ray or whatever blue oil all between her eyes down her head, and he goes, "It was an accident." I'm like, "That was not an accident."
It was an accident.
Yeah. Oh, well, since we're talking about accidents, it was as much of an accident. So Timmy and I, right when he moves in, it was during that big winter storm, and there was a there was a stray cat
Snow
or something.
apocalypse. That's right.
There was a stray cat or something that was roaming around and trying to fight with the other cat or something. So Timmy and I go to Walmart, and first thing is I buy this. I pick up this. Look like an assault rifle pellet gun. I didn't buy it.
that was the chipmunks that were tearing up your chimney, Frank.
It was the chipmunk. All right. So anyway, I'm holding this picture of this assault rifle, and I go, the cats or the kittens are not going to have a chance. And I post that, and of course the internet blows up. They hate us because we're killing animals.
Peter
It was a
knocked
joke.
on your
It
door.
was a joke anyway. I don't buy that.
Yeah.
So we buy this pellet gun. So anyway, I have this pellet gun or BB gun, and I had a call or something. I'm at a work meeting I had to go to, and I come back, and at this time Timmy and Jared Lesher were running around doing arena cross, and I came back down, and I noticed that my pellet gun, and this is tied into Timmy accidentally dripped oil on my dog's head. Timmy and Jared tried to tell me that didn't happen, but my wife feeds birds out back, and there was a beautiful cardinal that
It was not.
accidentally
No,
got
it
killed.
was like a chickadee or something.
Whatever it was, it
I
got
would
killed
not
along
know.
with a
It
chipmunk.
was probably an endangered bird.
So anyway,
probably
Jared
three of them.
Lesher
No.
and Jared Lesher and Timmy Bador murdered in cold blood the songbird of the South and this sweet little
You know,
chipmunk
thank
in the
God the
backyard.
statute of limitations is finally expired on that, Timmy. You're
And I
gonna be
think
okay.
they called that one an accident too.
Yeah, I'm actually really lucky I didn't get kicked out.
I believe one of the times that I remember Frank telling me, like, I didn't have kids. This kid's a pain in the ass to have at the house. Like, this is what dealing with
Yeah.
teenagers is like. Because, yeah, it was kind of just thrusted upon him. But,
Well, we had we had a lot of fun though. It was great because we didn't have kids, and I
yeah.
always told my wife and I always said, look, there's a reason we didn't have kids, and we'll be used in another way. And Timmy came along, and then gosh, just all kinds of kids came along. Timmy and Jared Lesher and his
Yeah.
buddy Nick and a bunch of those guys. In fact, one day I was sitting up in my office and I opened the window looking down on my driveway, and Timmy and Nick were out there cleaning filters. That's their job, right? I'll take you, I'll do it. You guys keep it clean. And I looked down there and I said something. I got a video of it. Timmy probably has it too, but I looked down there and I had the video recording and I go, what's going on down there, boys? And Nick looks up and he goes, well, it looks like it's the little guys down here working for the big guy up there. And I go, well, that's because that's exactly what's happening.
The man was keeping you down, Timmy. Well,
Yeah, that's exactly. Hey, you know what? You earn your keep, and you be thankful. So.
Yeah.
it's still better than that damn cargo trailer.
Oh, you're damn right. I
I
actually
bet that
had
trailer's still at
2
Bremen.
electric heaters running in that thing full time, and it wasn't enough to keep it warm.
And I think the listeners need to understand when Timmy moved over to Bremen had been shut down.
Oh,
So
shit.
yeah, it was all washed away. There was all rain ruts. There was no.
Huh.
It was closed. So Timmy
Well,
just
it was open when I got there, and then that was actually the really bad winter
when
where
we had the
Yeah.
big
it got super
apocalypse.
bad.
But Timmy's, if you guys remember where Chris Inc. had his shop up at the entrance, Timmy had a 500-foot extension cord that ran, or a whole bunch of 100
I
footers
remember all
that
that.
ran
Yeah,
all the way up, and he borrowed the power from Ink's shop.
Yep.
Isn't that right, Timmy?
They had a electric hookup there, but
I thought you ran it all the way to
yeah,
Ink's.
no, I didn't have to run it all that way, but I did have to run it through the side of the trailer. Like the trailer didn't have power. I just had extension cords. It was spaghetti in there.
I do remember though this, before I met Timmy was living in that trailer. He met the guy that worked behind the counter at the AutoZone in Bremen.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy at the AutoZone, Timmy would come by a couple times a week. He would give Timmy the key to his trailer. Timmy would go to the guy's house, take a shower, do his laundry, and come back, give him the key, and then go back. That was where he went and showered.
Crazy. Yeah.
And the guy
Well, so
that worked at the AutoZone,
he was actually a friend of King Kelly,
King Kelly's friend.
who had owned Bremen
Yeah.
prior to his passing. And so that was actually how I met him. So I had known the guy for a few years because my dad and I would always stop on the way to Minneo's every year for a couple days at Bremen. And so every year we saw the same people. I mean, just like anywhere you go has locals,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and
yeah.
this guy, he didn't ride, but he just liked the dirt bike track, and super cool guy. And yeah, he knew my situation. I didn't have running water or anything in the trailer, and yeah, so he was kind enough to always invite me over to his house, and his wife would make me dinners. We'd play Phase 10, the card game, and I'd drink sweet tea and
Real
take a
sweet,
shower.
not
Yeah,
that
they were
shit
very
you guys had in the north.
hospitable people. Yeah, it's like people say, Southern hospitality. I definitely got my fair share of that. Very thankful.
Hey,
Yeah.
Timmy, do you still have those pictures of Frank in that Elmo onesie that he sleeps in?
Say yes. Please say yes.
Oh, I think you got a bad connection.
Hello?
I think Timmy's
Timmy.
got to go now.
Asking for a friend.
Hello?
Hey, Timmy. I think you lost him for
I
real.
think he actually
Hey, I lost you guys.
Oh,
really?
he was just talking about, had you ever seen any vet rider that is smooth
Hello?
and had such skill? And
No,
me?
he actually lost us. The timing of that is great, though.
Uncanny.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Uncanny.
No mistakes.
Or he's a very good actor.
Or he's got your back
Hello?
unconditionally.
Hey, Timmy.
Hey, Timmy. Caw, caw.
I guess you lost him.
Oh, well. Well, it's great to talk to him for a little bit. I wanted to say bye.
Yeah, I'm
but,
glad you had him call in.
in that thing. So we got a bunch of other shit we still got to go through, guys.
Let's get after it.
I know. I can see you looking at your watch like, oh, it's
Well,
about to be my fucking bedtime.
only because Frank and I have bingo at 10 o'clock.
Well,
You know, this old guy.
we've already missed Matlock and Golden Girls. I just want you to know.
I recorded it. We're
You
good.
did? Oh, sure.
We're good.
Who fucking records it? I just. Oh wait, he's trying to call back in. Hey, do you have signal finally?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that was about.
Well, I gotta say, you gotta go back and listen because it was comedic timing that where you actually lost signal. Go ahead, ask the question again, Jason.
Yeah, no, I was just asking Timmy if you by chance had those pictures still of Frank in that Elmo onesie.
I don't know if I ever saw that.
You never saw that?
All right, what's the Elmo onesie story?
I don't know. I think it's odd to make him He's taking advantage of the fact that I don't remember half the stuff that goes on in my life.
And that you're old and slow.
Was that in Frank's
Yeah.
drinking days?
Yeah.
No.
No, I was just making a joke.
Well, Timmy, we will finish. We're gonna finish with the rest of the show that we got lined up for these guys. But I do greatly appreciate you calling in. Next time I'm down in Florida, I'm gonna hit you up, buddy. So I usually try to stop in at Croom and do a few trips at what's the track? Not Day, the
Sunshine State?
No, it's in Wildwood.
Spider closed.
Spider. Oh, did it close? Yeah. I
Well, they
usually try to
reopened
do-
somewhere else, didn't
Yeah,
they,
I
Tim?
thought so.
At Bushnell Motorsports, the go-kart place, they did open
Ah,
another one, but
yeah.
the original Spider closed, which was the one that was
In Wildwood.
probably the one. Yeah, Wildwood. Now the other one's in Bushnell.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the new one yet.
Well, either way, my buddies and I usually around winter try to do a Florida trip. We'll hit WW or North Florida MX.
Yeah.
We'll work our way down to Croom, stopping at Waldo or Pax Track or whatever. So I'll let you know next time I'm gonna be down in that area for sure, man.
Yeah, let me know. It'd be great to see you guys.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you calling in, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You guys take care.
See you, buddy.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, bye.
All right. So what's some of the next stuff that we were going to get into?
I'm glad you had him call in. It was
You got
Good
to bring up
stories.
some stuff that you forgot about, so that was always good because your memories definitely turned to shit.
That just shows that you can make what Frank did for him. You can make a difference in people's life by
Yeah.
doing the littlest of things. And that's just the sport now. It's like you got to have so much money, and the haves and the have not. The disparity is so vast
Mm-hmm.
to be competitive. And Timmy shows you go out there and, just bootstrap the whole damn thing with a few of us paying a few $1,000s, and basically, whole shots 4 out of 6 motos, and now he's made a really good living in the space in the industry, which is really abnormal. The industry is not a good place to make a living.
Yeah.
So.
No, I will say you always hear about the people that dump a bunch of money and do all this stuff, but I feel like no matter what, if you got the talent or you got the drive, and sometimes not having the money will give you the drive. Look at a lot of the things throughout the history, and it works out better to do what he had done to get where he is.
Well, I remember a conversation I had specifically with Jared Lasher and his dad. It was right the year Jared decided to go ahead and go race arena cross. He was asking for help, and I said, Jared, how many times would this make it to Loretta's? And he was like 11. I'm like, what happens this year if you what's your goal? He goes, we'd like to get a top 5. I'm like, well, what do you get for the top 5? Because we might get some help. I'm like, describe, what do you mean by help? And he's like, well, I don't know. I said, here's the thing. What we showed that Timmy could do, and that anybody can do, really, you don't need the newest bike to race amateur motocross. You can wear old gear. I can hand you down stuff. You can get used helmets. You can have all of it doesn't have to be brand new. So then you take away all the things that everyone in the industry and social media makes you think, and all these kids, they got to have. And then you end up having a situation where what's the kid? He just got paralyzed.
Jerry.
Jerry Robin, when he went out on an 86, 85, 86
CR250.
CR250 5-6 years ago. You can do that. And
You think you can do that now, though? You think?
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot has changed since Timmy's situation. I mean, you and I talked about this last night, that I think the disparity between the haves and the have-nots, the sport has gotten away from the common man. It's become increasingly dangerous. The advent of four-strokes. You know, we talked about some of this.
Even the entries today, they posted up open Loretta's today, and $1,600, $800 facility fee for the week. I mean, who can do that?
I literally saw Matt Cobb commented on it.
I was reading Cobb,
and he said, "Thanks for keeping the cost down," and like all kinds of people were losing their shit laughing at it. Yeah.
Yep. He and I were talking about coming over.
Yeah, I don't want to be a killjoy at all, or be negative about it, but I do have some strong opinions on the sport, and I worked in the media end of it, and I've been involved as a fan, and I raced, you know, and almost won Loretta's one year in '86 and podium, and so I've seen all different facets of it. I've worked in the space, and it's going to be interesting to see how the sport materializes, because it's really, you know, if I was to do it all over again, or I had kids, I don't know that I'd want them riding or racing dirt bikes, just because, you know, if you look at business 101, if you look at it as a business, if you're going to go out and try to make a living at motocross, I mean, the deck is highly stacked against you. It's a very, very small percentage of people that can really make a living at it. And, you know, it's a young man's sport. And, you know, it's, you know, I'm going to stop short of saying a few things, but it's you know, I think the sport's at a little bit of a crossroad with, you know, you've got to ask yourself, is the risk worth the reward? Of trying to race professional motocross? And I would argue, you know, that it's, to me, I don't see the upside. So, you know, these kids that they go and they do all this training, and then, and that's great. There's some people that will be successful, but I think you have to have a plan B. Always, you have to have a fallback plan. And, yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how the next few years in the sport play out.
Well, and you had just said, I want to be a killjoy. So I'm going to be the flip side to that. And as where, even if you don't make it, let's look at the realities of what a dirt bike can teach you, and like what you can learn. Like everything you could learn from riding one, you can apply to the rest of your life. And it's really, you're good. Anything else, I feel like past that, like you said, you almost won Loretta's, you got a top 3. You're very successful at business. And I feel like a part of that is probably because you're like, you know what, I'm going to jump full feet into this. And if it doesn't work out, it's not going to be that big a deal, because I've already risked my life on shit and I turned out to be fine to an extent, right?
I think you make a good point. I think there's merit to that.
There's other things, even if you don't make it, that you can learn from it.
Other skill sets, yes.
Like I made it to like an A-level local, whatever, fast B rider. And I can tell you, if you saw where I started from, I was the worst beginner of the bottom at Dade City kid you could find, and I literally grinded it out to get where I was. Like if you would have seen me first race to what I got to, like at my prime or whatever, probably around the same time we were all hanging around riding with Timmy, you'd be like, that's not the same guy. You know what I mean? But I've applied that to a lot of stuff I've learned in life. And it, like, so in a way, yeah, you might not make it in moto, but it's going to teach you a lot of shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. You're definitely going to, I mean, you're definitely not going to have any success at all without putting in some effort. I know when we first started riding bikes, before racing even became a thing, my uncle and my dad always said, hey, riding these bikes are good for the kids. It teaches them out a little bit of responsibility, how to keep your trail bike up, you know, the little XR75, how to shift, how to use a clutch, coordination, just things, how to make judgment calls, you know, do things that take a little bit of responsibility for a young kid. And I think there's a lot of positive to it. And I think what you said, like as Jesse said, has a lot of merit. It's just going to that next level. Because I mean, I think if you could keep it like my little league baseball was, played baseball through high school. If you could keep it, it's what it is. It's your little league, and you run with it until it's time to go to work and be an adult.
Yeah.
And then you want to go ride and have fun as a vet guy, you go do that. Unless you happen to be that one diamond in the rough that everybody goes, who is this kid on this track?
But the cost of the sport, the bikes are now 10 to 12,000.
Yeah.
When I was racing, they were
$14,000 today. I saw a Cali.
All right. So, when I was racing, I got 3 125s when we went to Loretta's, practice bike and a stock and a modified. And I mean, the all in, we were $6,000 for 3 bikes. And we didn't have a motorhome.
But that was also 100 years ago.
Well, it was about 98 years ago. So get off my fucking lawn.
There's some stuff changing there.
But I think,
but no, I still agree.
I'm a big believer that 4 strokes really changed the game, though. I think 4 strokes really changed the game, and the degree to which, what I hate to see is these kids getting hurt these days, because the severity of the injuries are such that, you can't brush some of them off. They're irreparably changed for the rest of their life. And I hate to see that. I mean, nothing's more gutting than seeing these kids at 25 years old, their life's changed forever if they get paralyzed, whatever. And it just seems to me that,
well, I don't know, because I mean, look at Ernesto, look at David Bailey. Like, you go back to those times, those
but if you
reality
look,
is still there.
I agree, but it was much more of an anomaly. I'll bet if you looked at the statistics, there's a very discernible pattern. I think the amount of injuries, and it has everything to do with the power and velocity.
I agree.
And the rhythm sections in Supercross, you have to be so precise, so incredibly precise that you can't miss. And when you do, you're traveling at such a higher rate of speed that the impact is. So, like I said, I don't want to be a killjoy, but certainly I think that does the risk merit, the reward? I think you have to evaluate that in everything, right? What's that?
I said the risk never was the reward. It was just the risk.
Well, listen, I work in the financial arena, so everything to me is about risk and reward, and I'm always assessing that. And as I look at the sport as a business, having been in the business end of it, and the media end, and having started a magazine and all that stuff, I think it's really important that you have the young kids are incentivized to want to grow up to be, line up for Supercross. You got to have that continuity. You got to have the pipeline being filled of people that want to ultimately fill the roles of those factory riders. There's got to be, there's got to be an evolution there.
So on the flip side, with like you were saying, and I said the David Bailey thing, right? Mm-hmm. So this popped up in my head, and I just wanted to get you.
It happened at Huron. I was actually there. Huron, California. It was Golden State, Sarasota, or Transcal or something like that. It was a small set of things that he crashed on. Yeah.
So to say, like, you hear about or see about it now. Mm-hmm. I joke with like how people would say back in the day it was a lot safer. I'm like, was it safer, or was it not as well known because there wasn't as much media, there wasn't as much social media?
That's a good point.
So was it less, or was it not known at that point?
I think you make a valid point. My argument, I don't mean to interrupt you, Frank. My argument is that it's much more dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think it's purely based on the power to weight ratio of the bikes, the fact that kids don't evolve on 2 strokes. They go right onto a 4-stroke, a 250.
From an 85 to a 250.
The torque of those things, I mean, and the things you can do on a modern day 4-stroke relative to a 2-stroke, I mean, all you got to do is watch Supercross, like the LA Coliseum. Look at the speed they are going relative to what they're going now. I mean, it's clear, it's cut and dry to me.
I'm not even. You watch a night. And you watch
Southwick on a 125 today, and I was like, he looks slow as shit.
Yeah.
Go watch a Supercross. I was watching a clip today. Came across social media. It was like a kind of a time frame of McGrath and what he's done in his career. And you watch him, and I'm watching these things, and he's on these. They're just not going that fast, and the jumps they might have been big for the day, but not even comparable.
Yeah.
What the guys are doing now on 450s that are putting 68, 70 horsepower to the ground and weighing 218 pounds compared to a 40 horsepower, 45 horsepower 250 that weighed 225. No, they're not even in the same arena. And in the old ways, to Jason's point, which opens up another discussion, but I like the old racing because you could actually take a guy's line. He couldn't hit the double on a 2-stroke. You can turn a 250F now. These factory bike, Deegan's bike, you could pretty much clear anything you want from a dead stop, I would argue. And it's a 250F.
I feel like it's been that way for like 12 years now.
Probably so, yeah. But it's just much faster and from when the old days. But that's...
I don't know. It's always, there's an argument there too, because forward momentum carries instead of a dead stop. But it doesn't matter. Like, no matter what, there's the same amount of risk. But
It comes down to speed and inertia.
What's his name? What was the kid that Cowie that had the terrible looking crash last week? Last year, just got back. Went launching, landed on his back on the.
You're talking about Adam. No, it was. He rides for Husky now. You're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. He's always hurt.
Austin Fortner. Yeah.
it's Triumph.
Yeah.
Not Husky now.
Triumph.
Yeah. Austin Fortner.
Samsonite.
Well, it was either that or Mako. We couldn't quite remember. Or ATK.
Yeah, you guys are staring at the 86 500 and just like having flashbacks. I know. Does he know how I got that?
I don't think I know how you got that.
That was a wedding gift for my wife in 2013. No, I saw little eyebrows raised.
It's one of the best. It's one of the best, most iconic 500s
Yeah,
ever built.
it's actually a little bit dirty because it fucking
I
monsoon.
mean that year, I was a amateur support rider in 1986 for Honda, and I had 3 125s. I had a 250, and that year was a phenomenal year for Honda. Man, great year.
I will say the motor on that is amazing, but the rear brake, I'm like, fuck, I don't know how to ride this thing with a drum brake. Like,
Well,
it
yeah,
messes me up.
87 they went to.
My
Yeah.
86 250s set up like that, and you just.
Yeah,
get used
it's
to it.
difficult. Like,
But the
you have
forks
to put
are
a lot of
really
time.
good.
Forks are good.
Those
The motor's
cartridge
good.
Showas are good.
Yeah. So I did want to talk about your third place at Loretta Lynn's. I wanted to talk about what area you went to, what regional you went to.
Oh,
Do you
gosh.
recall all that?
You know, the qualifier. I think the second qualifier, whatever the regional was at, it was at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah.
Well, the year was 1812, the year of our Lord.
It was Charlotte Motor Speedway, and yeah,
Grandpa took his best mule and got us there.
Danny was there, Sean was there, Bobby J. Mann was there, broke his collarbone in practice, and yeah. So and then went to Loretta's.
So did you arrive at Loretta's like with a horse and buggy, or was it?
You guys are assholes. Jesus. I don't know. I'm looking around the room here, and I don't see any Loretta's trophies around here. I'm just looking
I've
around.
won areas. I've gotten like fourth and B at like I've done really well at areas, but at the time I get the regionals, I just.
So I'll tell you, it's 125B, 125B stock modified, and I got third. Jim Mayberry got second, and Rick Simmet won both modified. Yeah, it's right there, right there.
And I will point out,
And I'll tell
who's
you,
that in fifth?
yeah.
Oh, my word.
There's Scooter, yeah, Scooter Dukes, and yeah. I mean, listen, he could have easily won that thing. He was.
Danny
There's Danny too.
Danny and
Yeah,
A.
Georgia
I've
boy.
raced Galen Dixon here in the last few years.
I'm gonna
He's
say
still
that is a
racing.
terrible name, Galen Dixon.
That dude can ride, buddy.
I know, but
He's 57 years old and rolling.
So I got third, and we were tied going into the last moto. It was a 3-way tie between me and Jeff Mayberry and Rick. No, I think between me and Rick Simmet it was a 3-way tie, and I think I got sixth in the last moto, so I ended up third. And I don't know, to this day, I kind of wonder if I wasn't just happy, with the third. But yeah, in the modified class, I got 12th overall because I had a 32nd and like a 4th, a 6th or something, and then a 36th. I crashed, and my throttle came off. But yeah, it was good times, man. It was really cool. I didn't expect a podium. I didn't expect to be tied for the win going into the last moto. It was a cool experience. I mean, it was,
Look at Fancy Boy from Dunwoody.
no, it was cool.
Dunwoody.
It was cool. I mean, I almost won the damn thing, and I mean that nerves of being tied going into the last moto like that. I mean, it was.
You should send
was gnarly.
Sean this each year in a Christmas card.
Listen, I still follow Sean on social media, and he's doing really well for himself.
Oh, great guy, but
He is one of the
that was pretty good, Frank.
fastest riders out of Georgia ever, Sean.
Yeah, so that was you on your.
That's at Recycle Beach on a 250. Yeah.
this is right before. This is right before a Cooter.
No, this is a year after.
Right, a year after
year
Cooter
after the
took you
assault
out.
from half shirt dude. Yeah. Yeah, that guy was probably doing time at that point. He was probably locked up on a meth or something at that point.
What was that for assault on a minor that he was doing?
He's probably living in a van down by the river, you know? Son of a bitch. Yeah.
All right, we picked on you enough when we talked about this a little bit. Why don't we hit on this one right here?
Oh my word!
So I wanted to bring this up because this got brought up when we were when you took my wife and kids flying.
How about the Elton
Is that when
John
he had a root canal? Is that what that was?
No.
Dude, so this was really funny. He takes my kid and wife up on a plane, and I'm talking with this one guy that's his pilot. And I'm talking to the guy, and the guy's just like, he sounds like Boomhauer. He just sounds like a dumb hick. He's like,
Oh, Benson, you met, yeah.
So he's like, yeah, you know,
May have been a half shirt guy.
No, because he was young, and that was he was probably not born at that time of the picture. So I tell Frank, and I'm like, hey, just so you know, I'm a pretty good mechanic. If you want like a real mechanic to work on your airplanes, why don't you like just let me know and I'll fix your airplanes for you? Because that guy sounds a little. And he goes, no, he's got a broke jaw. His mouth's wired shut. It's like,
So that.
And then Frank brought up my gift I gave to him.
Is your mouth wired shut there?
Yeah, I had
that.
plates to put in my jaw. Yeah.
You know, for a guy who likes
what I want to know is how many nuts are you storing in this cheek over here?
I mean,
man?
for a guy who likes to talk so much, that had to be really hard on you.
That was the hardest 12 weeks of my life.
I'll bet. My God.
And the
Terrible.
incision. The incision is actually what caused the swelling in that other picture, right?
Well, no. So they put plates in my jaw. So I have a plate here and here, and so what they did is when it happened, I was at the nearest place was Wadowee, and when I got there, they did the CTs and the X-rays, and they said, "Hey, you got a broken back and you got a broken jaw," and so they transported me to UAB Birmingham, and so anyway, it just so happened I was very fortunate to get to go there because the person that teaches this new type surgery for fixing broken jaws as opposed to wiring them, they actually take an incision.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and they went down. So I actually have a scar in front of my ear where forceps scars, where they used them back in the old day when I was born, and it put a scar in front of my ear on my cheek. So they went down that scar and then down my wrinkles from being old, and then they fold your face backwards. And so I met the surgeon that teaches at UAB Birmingham, and he actually teaches that procedure. And I said, we can do this, or we can wire you shut. He goes, whichever you want to do. And I said, I don't want to be wired shut. He goes, well, let's do this. But I must tell you that you could have what's called a stroke face, which the nerves, because they lay the nerves off your face. Go in. Anyway, they did it, worked out.
And you were like, I'm married, like it's fine if I just look like that.
I mean, Val already bought it.
The best cover story for a facelift I've ever heard.
Yeah, it didn't work, clearly.
I mean, no, good Lord.
So anyway, that was it. And then, so I got out after a week, and I was immobile, not because of the jaw, but because I broke my T5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Did your friend make you drive home by himself in his car? Asking for a friend. Oh, no, wait. Somebody drove you home. Somebody drove you home. Oh.
Actually,
my wife drove to Birmingham to get me.
Okay.
You know what? And probably what happened is he was riding that day and had plans with his wife, and it was payback. And because he didn't make it home, he was sent to a hospital in Birmingham.
That was the most painful 30 minutes I've ever driven in my. He's like, well, it's a nice Escalade, man. It's comfortable. I'm like, yeah, not that comfortable.
All right, so tell him what I brought you as a gift.
Oh, I had kind of forgotten about this until you sent it to me when our buddy Benson at the airport broke his on a dirt bike I just gave him. It's our first dirt bike. Dude, he comes over and gives me a get well card and
flowers,
all that, and I open it. He brings me a box of Jawbreaker candy.
Oh, what a jackass, huh?
That's it.
Man. Wow.
Oh my God. And I couldn't remember. I remembered he did it, then I kind of forgot that he did it, and then when Benson broke his a month or so ago, I was telling him, and then he sent me a picture. He goes, "Yeah, I did it."
If he wasn't so young, he could be the freaking half shirt guy.
Yeah, he could.
Oh yeah. No,
Could've been
for
an
sure.
accident.
That probably would have been me. And be
So
fair,
funny.
it's fucking hot. Do you want to be wearing all that cotton jersey and shit racing in the South?
All I know is when I rode over him, I saw freaking tire marks over his freaking rib cage. You know, so couldn't have felt that. It serves him right.
So, one thing that I love to do that Frank probably doesn't even realize I do because he forgets about shit is there's certain trigger words for Frank that I can bring out in him. And one of the things that I love to say is I'll go, all right, I'm going to go out for one more ride. Look, there's the trigger word right there. It pisses him off.
Do you know what he's talking about? It's right there with. It's been a while since you've ridden on. It's right up there with. You're in the 7th inning and nobody's been on base, and you go, "Has anybody got a hit today?" What happens? No hitter's gone.
So the main point that I was, but don't look that way, Frank. No, don't look that way because I'm trying to set you up.
Okay, so there's a point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
We're at Matt Dalkey's house with Shu, and I said that to him.
Okay.
And Frank's like, "Don't." This is the first time where he was freaking out that I said it, and I was like, "Frank, you don't get hurt by saying it's the last time you go out. You go out, you get hurt because it's the worst the track's been. You're tired. Blah blah blah."
That's rationalization and minimalization. It's not true.
So Brandon Thompson, Matt Shu, and I, we go out for like 40 minutes, and we're literally just T-boning the shit out of each other. We're not going fast. We're just having fun, taking each other out and doing whatever.
Yeah.
And then I literally, luckily, the big triple he had there was like probably 80, 90 foot. I said, I'm just going to double it. I'm going to cut the track, and I'm going to take out Matt's front wheel in this 180 turn. And I'm glad I did that because Shu just lands, face plants, and is snoring in front of me, and I'm like nose wheeling to avoid him. So this is what happened from that. We get to Matt, he's snoring, his face is broken up, like he had
I'm
to
sitting
have
right there on the track. I come off the track a minute or 5 minutes, maybe a lap before they did.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there talking to Matt or whoever, literally next to the landing, watching them goof around as they approached that jump. And
you know what that is? That's called karma for Asadzilla is what that's called. Him building that stupid freaking uphill. That's him paying God's way of punishing Matt,
poor
you know?
Matt.
So the funny thing that brings to that is I couldn't do a jawbreaker because it's been done. So instead I brought him gobstoppers.
Oh
when
my
I
God.
brought
You know, it's crazy looking at him there because he looks freaking hideous. And in truth, I don't know if you watch him on social media, Matt's a good looking guy. I mean, he's a good looking guy. And his wife, Kiki, who I met Matt at that track. I hadn't seen him in 20 some odd years. And I met him. We started talking. He said, yeah, I was dating a girl that works there. He introduced me to her, Kiki at the time. At AMP, yeah. And I told him, I said, Matt, I said, it's been a long time, but I said, you're not the sharpest tool in the shed. And I said, your personality's not that great. And I said, Keela is very attractive, I said, I'm not sure you're going to have a shot at a girl like that.
And that's why I knocked her up right away.
He ended up knocking her up and marrying her. And to this day, they're happy ever after. And she's getting better looking. And he's a good looking guy. But at some point, there's going to be a crossroads. She's getting better looking, and he's turning an old man. At some point, there's going to be an impact.
Benjamin Button situation.
There's going to be an impact there at some point. But no, Matt, salt of the earth, good dude. Other than Asadzilla, I have no ill will except for that.
Matt's gotten back in shape. He looks like he could go ride today. You've seen him lately.
He and Sean Dukes and Keith Turpin and Crozier and all those guys are some of the best people to ever come out of Georgia, man. Really are exceptionally talented. And Matt's a wonderful human being too.
Yeah. No, we've had some good times with me. I just wanted to bring that up, especially with the.
It looks like shit in that picture, but
because
I carried the helmet out to the ambulance that landed on the helicopter that landed on the highway, and then they sent him to the Atlanta Medical Center because Grady was full, which was terrible. All right, Matt, we love you, buddy. That was me.
Yeah.
That was my voice.
They took him off in a helicopter?
Yeah, dude, I walked out there and gave him his helmet so they could x-ray the helmet and
Who paid for that? I mean, you guys flew in he got a helicopter and you wouldn't even drive me home? You're an asshole.
But he didn't have.
You're calling a freaking helicopter
didn't
for
have
Mac
an
for
Escalade.
a little freaking contusion.
He didn't have an Escalade.
Yeah, he was there in my box truck. He met me at this
Yeah,
house.
had he had an Escalade,
In
we'd
my
have let him
listen,
drive.
it's
It's
box
all
truck.
clear
We
now.
went
Listen,
down
I
there.
get it.
Yeah.
Matt gets a helicopter. Jason gets.
Oh,
the
we got him a
Chef,
helicopter,
whatever.
and got him a fire truck and an ambulance, and
Hey, everybody came to celebrate Matt bumping his head. Me, no, nobody. Because I freaking showed my ass, my goods, and everything, and nobody showed up.
Matt's pants didn't fall off.
Well, let's celebrate
Oh,
Frank and this.
look at that.
What's going on here in this?
Look at that. Look at Fawcett.
Look at that shirt.
He is a sexy son of a bitch, that Fawcett guy, isn't he?
You know, he got
Wow.
those jean
And
speedos
he-
because
and he-
I had some.
Listen, he beats to his own drum too.
You got the matching Speedo?
No, I had the speedo first, then he got the matching speedo.
Is that a real shirt, Team Man?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was our
Another
so-
perk that I was never given for being your friend.
I can get you one. So we had
Do you have extra large?
well, so in 2021, when I got diagnosed with cancer, it was in July, and I already signed up for Colorado, and I got
Okay.
I had Fawcett. And
That's James on the right, me on the left.
that's outstanding.
That's a crew right there, man.
And there in David Brewer and Gene's leopard speedo there in the center.
That's
Yeah. So when you guys were texting earlier, does he know about the calendar and all the other crazy shit? Because you made a comment in our group text about setting this up where you're like, he doesn't know what we're getting into. And I said, this is PG-13 or PG compared to the shit that I do. So
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'd finish the story on the shirt. So I got sick. I got diagnosed with cancer. And when they told me that I was going to have to do chemo and all that, I said, let's start when I get back from Colorado.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. They did the surgery, removed the tumors as much as they could. And then I said, give me 2 weeks. I'm going to Colorado, ride with my friends. Might be the last time. And so when I show up, Fawcett had those shirts made, and he and Dodd and Porter and Bryson and I guess Blair and myself.
that was the COVID year where everybody got COVID.
Well,
right?
no, that was it. Well, no, Fawcett. Well, yeah. So I go over to his house. We're all riding Fawcett's van out to Colorado. I show up Friday night, and he's sniffling, sneezing, got his bag of NyQuil and crap, and Brittany's sitting there with their son, and I said, Brittany, is he got COVID? Because I have no immune system. I'm literally the week and a half about to start chemotherapy. And she's like, oh, no, he's fine. So we go nonstop to Crested Butte. We we get there Saturday, I guess. Or Sunday. We ride a little bit Sunday, Monday. We get to Ouray. I get it. Might have been right there. That's exactly where it was. But that was the year prior. But I get out of those are mineral springs, hot spring pool.
Mm-hmm.
We've been sitting there an hour or so after the ride, and I get out of it, and all of a sudden it hit me like a truck. And Dodd has a test, and I'm sure enough, I got COVID, but I can't tell anyone because they're going to evacuate me out of Colorado.
Yep.
So I stay in the room the whole week, and they go ride and do the Colorado ride, and now I got to get in the van and ride back with them. And so anyway, I came back. Fortunately, I got back, and I was so sick that then they took me to the hospital, and I happened to be within the 10 days from when I got it. That was the last day that they would give me the monoclonal antibody. So I went into the ER, and they gave me the IVs, and COVID went away. And then a few days later, I started chemo. But yeah,
Wow.
Fawcett
Yeah.
brought that for me.
Yeah, I don't know if it was James that brought the COVID in, but I do remember him being like, dude, everybody got jacked up. Like,
We did. Everybody got it. I
Yeah.
got it first, and I think after everybody got home, they all got COVID.
yeah.
Forgot about that.
What's some of the other stories that we got to break? Or should we take some of our commercial breaks, take a quick pee break, and we'll come up and wrap up the show? Is that what should we do, boys?
Sure, whatever you
Sure,
wanna
I
do.
could use a water if you got some too.
Yeah, I got some waters in the fridge for you. I figured, you guys don't drink and you're all responsible and shit.
No, I don't think that table could hold me if I got up and tried to dance on it.
Oh, don't tempt me with a good time.
Yeah, you
All
have
right,
any
we're going
ones?
to pay some bills and we'll be right back. In fact, Shu sent me a new ad for his spot today, so we're going to
Nice.
play that. In fact, he sent me two. I'm going to play the first one. I'll play a few other ones, and we'll come back, and we're going to watch the one and the other one, and I want your guys' honest opinion.
Got
'cause
it.
I was like, one of them, I was like, I don't know.
Now it's time for some awesome tech tips.
Transform your comfort with Innovative Mechanical LLC, specializing in HVAC service for residential and commercial properties. They provide expert installation, maintenance, and repair. Their certified technicians ensure top-notch service, whether it's air conditioning, heating systems, or indoor air quality solutions. Serving Georgia since 1999, they prioritize customer satisfaction with prompt, reliable service at competitive rates. From routine maintenance to emergency repairs, trust Innovative Mechanical LLC for all your HVAC needs. Give them a call at 770-726-7407 or visit innovativemechanical.llc.com to schedule service and experience unparalleled comfort today. Our next segment is brought to you by Hard Knocks Racing. They're a group of dedicated motorcycle enthusiasts since 1998. They're your go-to for Campfire Moto official gear and will soon launch an apparel line of their own. They excel in crafting all kinds of custom decals, like this badass sign behind me, from custom signs to full bus wraps and office customization. In fact, check out this work Anthony did at one of the well-known Japanese manufacturer's office who will remain nameless. They also crafted awards for prestigious events such as the Perry Mountain 24-hour race, Mill Creek Spring Classic, Seika Hair Scramble Series, and many more for local racetracks in the Southeast. Check out hardknocksracing.com or give Anthony D'Amico a call at 404-717-2480.
All right, here we go. We're gonna play the Matt one like we were talking about. Okay, you ready for this, Jason? We know Frank's in there peeing right now. You gotta put your headset on to hear it. All right. Shit, where'd the second one go? I'll find it. I'll have it in here. All right, here's Matt's new ad right now.
The flow of a track design defines the difference between a memorable riding experience and a challenging ordeal. MX201 track design utilizes the existing terrain to its fullest, generating optimal dirt composition for jumps, whoops, and berms, while significantly reducing the need for imported materials. Each track is engineered for maximum drainage, ensuring not only year-round usability, but enhanced safety and reduced maintenance. Elevation of track lanes, when topography permits, adds technical diversity and promotes ideal riding conditions. The construction process is efficiently managed, from rapid estimation to transparent communication, ensuring both timeliness and clarity for clients. MX201's commitment is reflected in every detail, from grading precision to the integration of challenging yet secure obstacles, tailored for all skill levels. Choose MX201 track design to guarantee a track that performs as promised, adds value to your property, and creates opportunities for safe, exhilarating riding right at home. Contact us today to schedule your consultation.
That was a good ad, right? So he sent me this other one, and I just, what do you think of this one?
If you're in the market for a track of your own, MX201 track design can make it happen.
Yeah, but hold on. Well, damn it, I had the wrong thing on. All right, so they was watching us. No. So, all right, but watch your mouth. All right, like I'm all about some AI shit. I use AI to fuck with people all the time. All right, look at her mouth and listen. Put the headset on and listen. Okay, I'm all about some cleavage. All right, you guys ready?
If you're in the market for a track of your own, MX201 track design can make it happen.
That's AI, though. Right?
Yeah.
Dude, nobody's listening to what she's saying anyways.
All right, so
Who cares?
am I the only one looking at her mouth? Is that the
Dude,
problem?
that is that says way more about you than it does.
I didn't
the
even know
commercial,
she
that's all
had
I'm
a
saying.
mouth,
Yeah,
to be honest.
she had a mouth.
And what were they advertising for?
Listen, Matt knows his target audience. That is brilliant. I mean, it's freaking stupid guys like us who chase shiny objects and, you know.
I'm with him. He knows that.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
Well, either way, Matt and I were texting earlier. He sent me those two things, and I was like, oh, this is actually really good. And you got to go back and look at the one I made for him because I actually took clips from him like crashing out at Atlanta Supercross, and it's like Matt Shue goes down, and the one where he gets interviewed at the
With the blonde
yeah,
tips,
with the well, he'll appreciate it because well, I don't know, Slim Shady was not type your error, but
Wait, what's that?
you haven't seen the clip where Shoes
Oh, yeah.
like the LBQ,
Well, when he looks
Slim
like
Shady?
Eminem, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame his rapping career didn't work out because this whole track building thing, he never would have quite gotten there, you know?
Dude, it's so funny because I'm getting to the end of the people where I'm like, I really wanted to do a show with, so I'm like, I got to keep this going though. But right, because you were definitely one, and James and RJ and a bunch of others too.
Yeah.
But like Matt and J Ride are definitely ones where I got to get these guys in, right? Because I've got so many stories of him telling us stories, riding to tracks or going to places where I'm like,
Dude,
I
I've
remember
had
'em.
so J-Rod has. We've ridden nothing compared to the miles that Matt and J-Rod have put together, but over the years, Jason and I have put a lot of miles together, and I can sit there and listen to him tell stories of
Oh yeah.
the
How's he doing?
days
Is he
of.
doing well?
He's doing great,
Yeah.
Jason.
I mean, he's another guy. He's another guy.
He's driving his Tesla with a Stark in the back, right?
He's a very accomplished
He's doing good. Yeah, loan officer.
mortgage broker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does very well.
That's the problem of trying to line them up. Jason's like,
Yeah.
oh, I got this going on, I got that going on, and whatever.
Yeah, but he's
Should
got
we
a lot of
bring up-
great stories.
Your side of the story, there was some confrontation at the Colorado with you and Jason. Okay. The only reason I said that if you were gonna bring it up, I was gonna get him to bring it
No.
up when I get him to bring it on, because there was a little thing that happened or whatever. But I know it was more of a misunderstanding. But all right, so Frank, one of the things that I had written down too before we started, we are starting to wrap up the show and stuff. So I wanted to know, what would be more terrifying to you, a bike seizing up, a big jump, like seizing up on the face, or realizing there was an issue with a plane while you're flying it?
Well, I can answer that. I had a dead engine. I don't know if I've told you this, but
No.
I was flying back from Arkansas in 2000, fall of 20.
Mm-hmm.
Got into we were running behind. And I'll tell you the short reason why I was running behind. I was headed back to Brasstown, North Carolina, where Elevation Motocross.
Oh,
is.
okay. Yeah.
But we were coming from Arkansas, and we ran into some storms, and the storms came in sooner than we predicted because I was actually flying, and the guy that I was flying with was in his plane. He was a colonel in the Army, and the colonel and I just made the honest mistake of figuring out our time and when we would arrive, but we forgot we were on Central Time. So as we crossed in, we lost that hour, and but at any rate, storms came in. The next morning, I get up, and it's a bluebird day. There is not a cloud in the sky, and we leave from Rome, Georgia, which is where we stopped, and we're flying up to Brasstown, which is where Elevation is. And when I took off, I checked, and I had plenty of fuel because it's an hour flight worst case. Well, in the airplane I was flying, the wings, the fuel's in the wings, and you switch left tank, right tank. So I'm flying along, and I'm on the left tank, and I call up there, and I call down to the thing, and oddly enough, a guy that I know through motocross was up there taking lessons, Josh Scott, one of Tate Harney's friends. Josh is a heck of a rider. And I called down there, and I said, hey, what's the field like? Well, there was fog over the field. Blue skies everywhere else, but type of bush planes we can fly. I've flown in, and I can land under the fog over the river, and no problem. So I start diving down. And as I know I'm low on fuel, but I got plenty of fuel to get there. So I start diving down, and as I go out to where Elevation is, the track, I kind of go over that way, and I go around the mountain. It's about a mile or two past. So I go around that mountain, but as this whole time I'm diving, I'm having fun. So I'm doing this dive to the left.
Which gets the fuel.
I had put it on the wrong fuel tank, and I had just enough low that it was low enough that it got below the pickups. And so at this point, as I'm turning, I'm probably 100, 120, 50 feet over the ground, AGL. And I heard, I'm going, I hear a little blip like that. And as soon as I did, I looked and my gauges completely gone, engine out. I don't see anything around me but mountainside. And all I do is I reach down and I look down as quick as I can. And I see that there's a field, a small field underneath me. And I pull flaps, get back Clyde, and I make a 180. And as I make a 180, I'm below the field. So I nose the nose down to gain my airspeed, and I land uphill. As I land uphill, I'm bouncing all over the place, just rodeo. I don't crash the airplane. The prop's not spinning. Its engine's out. I'm out. And I stop, and I get on the radio, and I'm only a few miles from elevation, and I call Brasstown, and I call on the radio, and I said, hey, I've gone down. And I said, I don't know where I am, but I got a general idea. Josh is over on the radio talking to Billy Payne, who owns Elevation's brother, Vic. And he says, where are you? And I look over and I said, hey, I see these two barns here. There's these two red barns, and I'm describing them. And Josh goes, is there another barn like across this little gravel road that's got like windows on it, like concession stand windows? And I go, yeah, it is. He goes, I know exactly where you are. And this is how I know God's got a sense of humor. I emergency landed, unbeknownst to me, on Rock Crusher MX Park.
No shit.
And it was all grown over, and I couldn't see the track, and the grass was covering it all. And so the area, if you've ever ridden Rock Crusher, as you're coming up, there's a big left-hand sweeper. I rolled through the left-hand sweeper. So anyway, I ended up, those guys bring fuel. Airplane's fine. I unload all my gear so I could be very light. And I found an area where it was about 400 feet long, and I was able to take off in 400 feet and kind of dive off the cliff at the end to get some airspeed and go, and climbed out and went back to Brasstown. So I know what the sound of when the engine completely stops in the air, and I don't wish that on anyone in the world. I have not had an engine out on the face of a jump. At my age, I doubt that there's going to be an opportunity for that to happen on a massive one, I hope. But
you know, the irony of that story, Frank, is that that's the first time ever you made it to a first turn first. And that's like the one whole shot you've ever had was in your airplane crash landing in a field of an old motocross track. That a boy.
That was really good. That was good.
Starts were not my thing. I was raced. I went down. I jumped in at Etchiconi. J Rod will tell you this story, but Farley, their buddy that would go around with them all the time. Tim Ferry's in this class. I sign up somehow in 25 plus, which is, I don't need to be in that anyway. So I go down there, and Farley's going to be nice enough to bring the broom and sweep off the starting pad. Well, when he walks up, there's probably 15 guys on the class. They're all left of the doghouse. I didn't want anything to do with it. I got way out there on the outside, and Farley's like, what are we doing out here? And J-Rod's out there. They're giving me a hard time because Etchiconi's a left-hand start.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I don't know.
Etchiconi.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, Farley's down there. And it was the first time Farley had driven down to come hang out with Jason and I for the race. And Jason wasn't racing, I was, and they were just being supportive. And Farley, the gate dropped. Farley goes, you gotta go. They're gone. The gate's fallen. And my reaction time was, it's fallen. And he had time to say, you gotta go.
I used to get a lot of hole shots because I was talking to somebody on social media. They said, yeah, remember that time at Etchiconi, the first Etchiconi? You never saw the first Etchiconi.
No.
First Etchiconi track that Sean and Danny and all us used to race at back in the day. It was very different. It was down the road from where the new one is. But there was 125 C class. I'll bet we had 40 people. There was a back row one time. And they actually did. There was such a gnarly crash that they had to restart us after one of the things. And somebody joking on Facebook said, how come you always got the whole shot of all of us in that 125C class? I said, I was scared to death. I was trying to get away from all you
Away
guys.
from you
I was
people.
just absolutely petrified, looking over at 40 guys and one guy in a half shirt, all knowing that they'd be, you get out of the way, they'd run your ass over.
Do you wake up to nightmares of the guy in the half shirt?
I'm going to find that son of a bitch. I'm telling you. You know what? $200 for the guy who points
Dude,
him
we
out.
all had the half shirt. I had the
$200.
half shirt fishnet, half shirt football
I
jersey.
still got the scars to prove it. That guy cost me 6 months, and I mean, I could have been something if it hadn't been for the half shirt guy.
Got taken out by Cooter.
Yeah, could have been something.
Honestly, for me with starts, like my reaction time with a gate is terrible. But my advantage, and I would do a lot of times, I would line up outside, but I would just hold it on longer. And that shirt worked really well until you got to A class, to where everybody holds it on the same amount, where, that does not.
I remember in Loretta's at 86, the last moto in the 125B modified class, pouring rain. And I had no chance of podium. I had at that 36th in a fourth or fifth, and I hit the gate. I mean, and you've been to Loretta's, Loretta's raining is not, I mean,
No good.
It's like a torrential downfall. It's just a mud fest. I hit the gate, and I remember for 2 seconds thinking, I'm just going to freaking turn it off and go back, just quit. I didn't, and I ended up finishing fifth in that moto, one of the most fun motos I've ever had. I had like 2 tear-offs, and got all the way to fifth after falling one time in the moto, but I hit the gate at the start. I remember thinking, this is going to suck as I'm trying to follow 40 bikes in the mud. Can't see a damn thing, and yeah, crazy.
So I did want to hit a little bit on your guys' business stuff and some of the things that you guys have done with Vurb and all that kind of stuff. Because, funny enough, for whatever reason, I thought you were like the meta guy.
Jason had his career as a photographer for Playgirl for many years.
Yeah.
And
but I thought he was on the other side of the camera.
Yeah, that I'll tell you that volume didn't sell real well. Yeah.
It actually cost them money.
So the whole Vurb thing, there was a there was a little partnership issue. They'd had an issue, and I got involved, and I came in and helped run the company for a while and worked with them. And, it was a good business, but, they had a great following, and what was built there was really special. And fortunately, Vurb now is back where it should be. It's with Wes Williams, which is his baby. He is the creative genius. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. I think he is a visionary of the space, incredibly talented, well beyond just what he does on dirt bikes. But, so fortunately, the partnership issue ended up working out ultimately, and Vurb went back to its rightful owner, and he and his guys do it now, and I'm glad to see it's back. And I had fun doing it. I looked at, for me, it was a business thing. It was a passion project. It was never very lucrative, but it was a cool diversion from what I do in real life, which is, as an advisor, as a consultant, as a strategist, as a venture capitalist, working in the financial arena with, publicly traded companies. So, it was a nice divergence, as was Meta. We spun Meta out of Vurb. And, I trademarked the name Meta, and we got it into Barnes & Noble.
Yeah.
And, my partners in that did great work, and very talented. And, ultimately it's no longer around. It's a different name now, and I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, it was fun. It was a neat diversion. I funded it, and I put up all the money so that our person putting the magazine together could get paid. And, but again, it was not something I did it was really for me as a passion project, an opportunity to work with old friends, not very lucrative.
Yeah.
Most businesses, and that's one thing about the sport of motocross, it's not very lucrative. There's not a lot of money. It cannibalizes some of its people. A lot of old riders try to go into the sport and work in it, and they find there's not a lot of money in the sport.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was a cool thing. I took what I know from a business standpoint and applied it to this sport. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Yeah, it was cool. It's a cool thing to see your magazine on the shelf at a Barnes & Noble. That's a neat thing. And like I said, I'm glad that Vurb is back with Wes where it rightfully belongs. And that's home for me, is him having it.
He's done some cool things with it, and it's pretty funny, all the podcasts and stuff that they've done. And it's really comical to me that the two main moto podcasts, because there's only two in Georgia, are 2 miles from each other. So Winners Take Y'all is 2 miles that way. And then
John's,
yeah, John's. That's with Kyle's house burning down. So it's just funny how that all works out and how they're, yeah.
Wes was ahead of his time. I mean, he is creative. He is, he's really brilliant when it comes to marketing and to creating content. He's and as a photographer and I guess a videographer, he's really the cream of the crop. And what he built there, I mean, listen, if anybody who was that good at what they do would have made a fortune. I mean, if he was in any other thing, and that's kind of why he went and, you know, I mean, he and I used to talk, and the problem is, you know, people wanted everything for free with Vurb. It's like they wanted T-shirts for free. Nobody wanted to pay for anything. So when we try to, you know, so even when he went, if you recall, he kind of did that. He was very forward thinking and ahead of the curve. And he came out with that, I forget what that movie he did himself. He put together, I forget what it was called. I forget.
Epic.
Huh?
It was Epic?
No,
Moto?
he did.
I don't think he was the Moto series guy.
No, he was. No, that was what's her name. But he created I mean, really ahead of his time video, and you know, I think he had visions of grandeur, perhaps that people would.
That's gonna piss me off. I know the name.
Yeah, I mean, it was really incredible work. But the problem is, the sport, you know, doesn't really support people like him like they should. You know, I mean, he created a ton of content, but it was hard to monetize. And that's kind of the problem. I mean, you give all this stuff to people for free. And I mean, what they did with Vurb was way ahead of its time. I mean, brilliant marketing, brilliant creativity. It's really cool what they did. And I was stoked to be a part of it for a very brief part of its, you know, its life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he brought me in at the time. And I think that was around the time that Timmy was really starting to gain traction, and you know, some of that helped, right? Just being tied in with Vurb a little bit helped. You know, we used it to help Timmy and where we could, and then I'd go to some of the Vurb races and haul the, you know, some T-shirts and hats and haul some swag and haul some easy ups, and I think just having someone else outside of the guys that were running it that was.
Yeah, I'm a marketing guy and a sales guy, and having Frank there, that was certainly helpful and impactful in terms of creating reach.
Yeah.
And goodwill.
Yeah.
And that's what every brand makes a good brand is goodwill. And I think Wes and Vurb, there's a ton of it, and hopefully we added to it. And but that's what makes a brand special is goodwill, and that's where Frank came in and some of those ideas that we had.
Yeah. Now, it's kind of funny, like, just to see where you guys brought in and grew it. And then I was like, where the hell did it go? You know? And then, like, years go by. They went off, did Moto Spy and did some other things, and it just, like, exploded again. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the guy's name. I was listening to his podcast today. I met him during when Wes and them were doing the reunion series instead of the Vurb Classics. And the guy that does the Gypsy podcast.
Jace,
that's his name.
Yeah, those are well done.
Yep, he was parked next to me at Etchicani for one of the rounds or the final round, and he was doing running some stuff, and I got to meet him. He was a real cool guy. And then I guess we did the two. We did Etchicani, and then we did it at Mill Creek for those rounds of the reunion race, and then I think they disappeared that for a year or so, and then it was quiet, and then Vurb came back.
Yeah. I remember I was wanting to do that one at Mill Creek, but I was injured.
Yeah.
Surprise.
You know, the problem is when you start businesses in general with all your friends and you don't dot the I's and cross the T's and have all the partnership agreements, and you don't have, you know, everybody when they enter into a partnership with 5 partners or 4 partners thinks life's great, we're all gonna be friends forever. And then you find that one person may not be working hard as the other, and the split is, you know, the same with everybody, and one person, so partnerships are always inherently hard.
Yep.
And when you have that many creative people who think outside of the box, you know, sometimes you don't lay the groundwork for when you ultimately have those discussions later. And that's where, where I stepped in. And like I said, it's back where it belongs.
Yeah, and always one person has a better idea than the other, and they clash. And
When money comes to things too, somebody always says they deserve more, or I'm working harder. It's not just Vurb, it's any business. Find me a partnership that fundamentally doesn't have, that's why you have to have a buy-sell agreement. That's why you have to have, if you're a Georgia LLC, you have to have an operating agreement, because it defaults to the Georgia rule of everybody, So there's all sorts of things there that you lose your ability to extract yourself or to negotiate with your partners if it becomes adversarial.
Yeah.
So the key is whenever you start it, you have to assume that at some point you're going to want to get out of it. So create a foundation that benefits everybody.
So there's two other things that I wish to discuss. And if there's any other stories that you guys do, definitely hammer on it. Because I feel like you probably didn't even tell them what's going on with my life and Megan's life and all that stuff and where she just left. Because this is a big thing that I've been very hush-hush. In fact, usually before we didn't have time to talk about this. Usually I'll be like, don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics. Don't say that my wife works at Yamaha. My wife just left corporate Yamaha.
Wow.
She left it.
I told him on the way over.
Okay, so you guys did talk about this.
Briefly, if you...
Yeah, briefly. So one of my dads...
Like, it's the craziest, Frank Mann friendship story ever. My wife randomly joined the gun club Shotgun League and met this amazing dude who's just so bubbly. Mike Larson. And then my wife's telling, yo, what's your husband? What do you do? Oh, do you know Frank Mann? And she's like, yeah. Yeah. My wife's good friends with him.
So I have been playing golf with Mike Larson since late 80s. And Mike Larson, soaking wet, with 5-pound weights in his pocket, weighs 145 pounds.
Yeah, it's about right. Still weighs that.
Yep. But he could hit the golf ball 280, 300 yards, and we called him pound for pound. And so his license plate says LB for LB or something. But anyway, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. But through life, I ended up meeting him and his wife, and they ended up meeting Mike. And Mike even named his daughter Madeline after my sister Madeline. And lo and behold, as I told you driving over here,
yep,
Megan, who is a veteran, I did not know.
No, she's vet, disabled vet, Native American blood. She's got all the.
Your wife?
Yes.
Yeah, she checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yep.
Well, thank her for her service.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
You can go wake her up when we're done.
No, I don't want to wake her up.
I'm so jealous. She's already asleep at 9:30. I haven't been up this late.
We got a
since
6-year-old
college.
that's
Based on
fucking
some of your
wired on
last
sugar.
stories, you seem to be dozing off a little bit as we speak.
He is. No, but so to kind of speed it up, it's just crazy, the friendships and all this stuff. My wife and I were like, what's the next step? She's been with Yamaha since 2017, literally started as a temp and went, she's got a master's degree. She was the project manager. She was doing some really cool shit with them. And originally it was supposed to be me taking over this company because we were like, what's the next step? And she said, well, Mike's got to retire soon.
Right.
And so as we went to dinner with him one night, I randomly just I got his number and I texted him hey, we're thinking about what's our next step. So we met with Mike, and as we're hearing what he does, what they do, I was like, this is you. This is more your wheelhouse.
And what do they do?
Infrared cameras to the government.
For military use.
Yeah, for military use and all kinds of really cool shit.
Okay, cool.
So, which sucks with me is I lost my Yamaha plug. I'm a little salty at that.
Yeah.
But,
hopefully you'll make enough money working for yourself where you can pay retail.
Which is ironic since he's got Hondas all in the garage.
It's true.
No, the Yamahas are actually loaded because I'm racing Calhoun Saturday.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yeah, you said I had a lot of toys. Some of them are already in the trailer.
I'm envious of all the toys.
Look, I worked hard for this. All right. Anyways, just
deserve it.
Whatever. Yeah. So she is no longer the Yamaha, so I don't have to hold back with some of that shit
That's
that I was
great.
having to hold back on for the show. But either way, it just ties back into this is fucking Frank doing because he was like, that man is family. So it makes it easier to trust a partner of a good friend
Of course.
who you know is a good person, to state.
100% agree, but still put everything in writing.
It is.
100%.
It is. She's 51% owner.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. they were going to retire and just let the business fizzle out.
Well, that's good. So now they got kind of an earn out
Yeah.
and a transition.
Yep.
So to them, they're able to monetize that continuity. It's a no-brainer.
Yep.
So it's a win-win. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So
listen, I mean, that's one of the reasons I really respect Frank is he's a relationship person.
Yep.
And you can look at him. He's not the best looking guy.
No, not by any means.
I mean, half the time you wonder if he's either asleep or on drugs when he's talking. But he's got a huge heart, and he makes really good relationships. And the guy will give you the shirt off his back. And he is a classic example. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room to make a really good living, be successful. And I am the same thing. I'm cut from a similar cloth. I don't have the relationships he does, but I'm a big believer that you don't have to have that Harvard education. You don't have to be, straight A student, but that if people do business with people they like and trust.
Yeah.
And it's really that simple at the end of the day. You can make millions of dollars by just relationships. And I think he's a testimony to that. Everybody that knows him loves him. I mean,
yeah.
I have very few friends. He's one of them. And it's because he's consistent. He's got character.
UGA grads.
Yeah, there you go. You go. Although you were in the meathead.
Oh, that's fucking we're bulldogs.
Both of us graduated we went to the University of Georgia that you could get in with an 800 SAT and a 2.0.
That's true.
Different.
You had to roll your window up.
If
So they throw the diploma.
I'm from Athens originally. My father went to UGA. It's not a hard thing to do back when I got it. Now, not so much. But my degree and your degree is printed
What was your degree in?
It would be speech communications.
Oh, speech communication.
Yeah. Oh, what was yours?
Mine was public relations with a business minor.
Talk about your two garbage degrees. Let's put it this way. Let me ask, here's the litmus test. How many athletes were in your classes?
No, I didn't have any athletes in my classes. I mean,
they were all in
the journal. They were in your class. Journalism school was hard to get into at Georgia. I mean, that's the Grady School of Journalism.
My dad graduated from the Henry W. Grady School of Journalism.
There you go.
And I was heading into the Henry W. Grady School of Journalism, but I couldn't get in, so I went to the idiot school of speech communication and offensive tackles.
I thought when I went into PR, I thought it's the art of bullshitting. I said, I'll ace this. Turns out it's a lot of writing, unbeknownst to me.
Yeah, so was ours. Yeah, we had to write a lot of speeches.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about my college degree, so we'll just leave that right there. I have one. It's just it's maybe less impressive.
That's all that matters is you have one.
Yeah, that was the way it was for us. My dad, I never asked what my grades were. He said, look, go to school, get a degree, get on with it.
Yeah.
And that was it. Just go finish it. Get done with it.
Yeah. So one of the last things, it was funny that you brought up Rosenstein. I didn't know you both know him. So do you know about the whole knee surgery with Fogel? Like when you text
I had
me.
no idea he did knees.
So this is really funny. So I text Rosenstein. I'm like, hey, Frank gave me your number. I let him know I blew my ACL out. I know I blew it out. I've done one before. I'm going to come make an appointment. Just wanted to give you a heads up. I'm coming to see you. He goes, I'm getting on a plane to Italy right now. I won't be back in 3 weeks. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay. He's like, just make an appointment. I'll see you when I get back. That's when you messaged me. I'm a few floors above you. Turns out Fogel can do knees. So.
Man, my memory's bad.
I've got a ridiculously good memory. Cut flew through the surgery. A few months passes. I stopped going to Rosenstein. I go to Fogel because I knew him. And right before I went under, Fogel goes, if I can repair your ACL, do you want me to do that? And I said, what's recovery time? He goes, 6 months. I said, what if you can't? He goes, 9 months. I said, repair it. Of course, because you want to get back to riding. So 2 months after the surgery, I go to a checkup. Another random doctor walks in. He's like, hey, Anthony, just so you know, I've got this other doctor. I wanted to show him how I fixed your knee. I wanted to let him feel it, blah, blah, blah. You know how they have the paper they have you sit on? He literally is drawing on the paper explaining how he fixed my knee.
Vander is. And I go, and the doctor's like watching, and he feels my knee. He's like, that's really good. He goes, I understand how you did it, but that's beyond me. It was Rosenstein that he was showing that to. Byron.
It was him that he was showing it to.
And that's a boy.
So
I haven't seen Byron, and
I haven't seen him
he's
since we
retired
left golf
since
club.
then.
he had a little bout with cancer or something too. You know that?
Oh,
my
did he?
understanding, he
He
retired.
had a health issue for a while. I don't know if it was cancer, but he did have a health issue.
I know he went down to the Standard Club.
Yeah, I
But-
don't know. Good,
By the
good
way,
dude.
it made me go, Vogel's that good. And that's why I've sent so many people to him. For another surgeon who's well known to tell that surgeon, I understand what you did, but that's, like, I'm not going to try that.
He
I
was
like,
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Byron did my shoulder. He did my arm, my broken arm.
Well,
Yeah.
when we did this last collarbone, I went back for the follow up a couple weeks later, and I was sitting in the chair, and Evander was like, "So how's it feel?" I go, "Man, I feel great." And he goes, "It's only been 2 weeks," and I go, "Oh yeah, watch this." And I grabbed the seat and I did a dip, and I pushed myself up, and I had my legs hold myself up like that. I dipped down and did a couple while I was in the chair. He's looking at me like he just did it, and he goes, "What?" He goes, "Hold on a second." He gets his phone out. He goes, "Do that again." And I'm going up, dip. I'm doing dips. And he's just laughing. He goes, "Unbelievable." And I go, "You're pretty good." And he goes, he's humble. He goes, "I don't know. I didn't know I was that good." But 2 weeks after surgery, I could do the dip. And then of course it was only broken in one spot. So, yeah, he's a good one.
Well, you guys got any other stories you want to bring? I know it's well past Murder, She Wrote and, all that stuff. So I'm sure it's bedtime.
No, I mean, I think we've covered a lot of things, and I think, with Frank on the show, you probably ought to look at a hair gel sponsor or something like that. I mean, we haven't talked about Frank's hair, which is always on
Well, I
point.
thought those were plugs.
No.
Good
You
looking
sure?
plugs, man.
Listen, this beautiful locks of hair is getting thinner. When I started chemo, I didn't lose it all, but it got thin.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a picture. I had a video from the airplane, and I was doing a loop or something, and I saw where the opening, and I was like, I can see scalp. It's never happened in my life. And I went,
I'll tell you guys, I have not paid supercuts in 20 freaking years. So you guys can kiss my ass. All this freaking gel and shit you put in there to spike
I'll
that crap
put
up.
anything in there.
I haven't put anything in mine.
I have probably got $10,000 more and not having. I just got a freaking Flowbee thing. I just shave that shit off. Super easy, man.
Oh, my
Take like 2
God.
seconds.
Oh, geez. I believe we got our sponsors in. I always do like a story for my kid. I usually get him to like tell me a story. It's just part of like trying to get him to open up and just be his own little deal. But instead, I'm going to play the video of him tumbling down the hill the other day, and then I'm going to wrap up the show. So if you guys don't have anything else, I greatly appreciate you guys for coming in.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was nice. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you having us. Thank you.
Even though you didn't tell me, hey, I'm on the way, and we almost like started late. But
you're lucky he's here. I mean, he forgot how to get to your house, and he had it on a freaking screen. I mean, literally had it on navigation, and he turned the wrong way 6 times.
Dude, that was the funniest shit ever. I text you guys like, have you guys left yet? And you're like 5 minutes away, and I'm like, okay, just when you get to Frank's, let me know when you're leaving. About 40 minutes away, and I'm literally heading to go get some food. You guys are like, no, we're 5 minutes from your house, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, listen, I get it honest. Not long ago, well, it was about a year or so after COVID. Me and about 5 guys were all in our planes, and we're flying up to the bluffs near Chattanooga because there's some strips up there we like to land on.
Yeah.
Well, we all leave together, and we can all see each other. But I'm looking at something kind of heading toward Jared's bike park. And I didn't realize till I'm on the radio talking to the guys. I'm like, where the hell are y'all? They go, we're over here at the bluffs. Excuse me.
Bless you.
They go, we're over here at the bluffs. And I look down at my GPS, and there is a town in Alabama just kind of west of Rome. And it's called COVID. I found it. It's about 20 miles over the line in the northeast side of Alabama from Georgia, and I'm following the guys, and they're over here landed on this strip, and I'm 15 minutes away in COVID, wondering where the hell they are.
Dude, I hope the FAA is not listening to this
Nah.
thing.
Yeah.
They might pull your
Nah,
pilot's
fine.
license, you know?
I can fly the crap out of them. I just can't figure out where I am.
And that's why I'm really glad he only took my kid up for like 3 minutes.
This
I was a little
proves
worried.
my wife's comments that I'm not allowed to go flying with you. This is only going to embolden her contention that you are absolutely not to be out without parental supervision.
And can you imagine I navigated across the Transamerica Trail in 09?
Well,
Made
yeah,
it.
that was like 40 years ago, dude.
It was a long time ago. Made it.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Well, I greatly appreciate
it was a
you
lot of
coming
fun.
in. If you think of some more stories, we're gonna be doing some more of these. You jump in, tell them, write them down, whatever. You definitely need to write them down to remember some shit. So we'll actually be back next week. My cousin's coming up from Florida, and I'm gonna have my dad and my cousin in, and I think we're just gonna talk about the old days of where we grew up. So that should be a good time talking about Croom and Dade City and all those other things.
Sounds
so
good.
That'd be a good little listen. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I appreciate anybody watching and listening. Send in your own stories, by the way. I forget to mention that. Like, I have the website. I've got the voicemail. If you got a good motorcycle story to share, share it. I want this show to encourage people to send in their own stories because there's millions of them out there. And I don't feel people have the normal outlet to just share their stories on normal podcasts and
Right.
outlets. So
Hey, Anthony, I'd say one last thing. $300 on the half shirt guy.
300.
$300.
He wants to know who the that.
Dude,
You need to post that up. Let's find out who that guy is.
Well, we know it
Make it
wasn't
a
Shane
Campfire
Silver.
Moto
$300
Stories
for the name.
project. $300 who can figure it out.
I'm a
Post it.
little bit upset. I didn't think about this till right now to tell, to hold off to be like, Shane, hey, I need you to claim this was you, and we're gonna.
Y'all go
listen.
split the 300.
Right?
You're looking for ways to monetize this podcast. There you go.
Find
Put out
out the dude.
an APB
$300
for that guy, you know?
Yeah.
And then have him on the show.
Yeah. No. I'll work it out where he
Listen.
doesn't know that it's the guy.
You
and
have
then-
him on the show. I promise you'll have one caller. Promise you'll have one caller.
Are you
He's
sure you're
still
not
mad.
just gonna run through the thing and just tackle his?
You might even make a guest appearance for that show.
So funny.
All right. Thanks again, fellas.
Yeah,
and we'll
boys.
see you guys next week.
Enjoyed it.
Thanks.
You wanna talk about a leap of faith? A half-cocked shot lit in the darkness. Flip cups and rolling dice. We gave no fucks, now who thinks twice, yeah. And when this roll turned slower, felt like it was trying to shake us. Held on to what we knew. It could try, but it never break us. It could try, but it never break us. Ready or not, this is who we wanted to be. Ready or not for the day we waited to see. We're the spirit that cannot be broken.
you.